frantic from not finding him, rushed out and happened to spot Si2 Xiaoyi emerging from behind the mountain of milk. From her vantage point, she completely failed to notice Jiang Qianxia. With a loud cry, Lu Ma, overwhelmed with emotion, raced down the staircase as fast as she could manage. Si2 Xiaoyi glanced back discreetly, noticing his stepmother standing frozen in place, and blinked before continuing toward Lu Ma. Lu Ma, too elated to notice Jiang Qianxia's presence, exaggerated her relief with an over-the-top expression as she tightly hugged Si2 Xiaoyi. "Oh, my little young master, my precious darling, how could you run off like that? You nearly scared Lu Nai to death." Oh dear, she had just begun her lament when her sharp eyes caught sight of the milk in Si2 Xiaoyi's arms. Her expression froze. She recognized every type of dairy product in the villa, except for this one. This belonged to that vixen. Lu Ma looked up and spotted the mountain of milk not far away. Her eyes widened instantly. Sure enough, this was the milk that the second young master had sent to that vixen yesterday. She immediately shouted, her voice trembling with agitation, "Little young master, who gave this to you?" As she spoke, she reached out to snatch it, but Si2 Xiaoyi held onto the milk tightly, unwilling to let go. Left with no choice, Lu Ma glared angrily at the surrounding servants. Who's the idiot that dared to give the young master this poison milk? The servants, initially just observing out of habit, were caught off guard by Lu Ma's harsh words. Her sharp tone made the younger maids, especially the more sensitive ones, visibly uncomfortable. But Lu Ma, feeling triumphant, didn't let up. After all, these were the same maids who had cheered for the vixen when she gained favor yesterday. Just as a few maids prepared to retort, Lu Ma, aware of her limited support, quickly decided to preempt any backlash. Hugging Si2 Xiaoyi tightly, she declared, "I'll take the little young master upstairs to change his clothes. And the rest of you, hurry up and prepare breakfast. If the young master is late for preschool, you won't hear the end of it." With that, the old woman, like a compass spinning on its legs, carried Si2 Xiaoyi into the elevator, leaving the young maids outside fuming in frustration and helplessness. Only after the elevator doors closed did Jiang Qianxia emerge from behind, her brows furrowed. Upon seeing her, the maids' eyes lit up. They called out with a mix of grievance and excitement, "Madam." Jiang Qianxia noticed their hopeful expressions, clearly expecting her to back them up. However, she chose to feign ignorance. While these young maids provided excellent service, that didn't mean she had any fondness for their opportunistic behavior. In the past, they had sided with Lu Ma to pressure the original host. Now that they had fallen out, it was simply a case of dogs biting dogs. She, however, was more than happy to watch the drama unfold. Sensing Jiang Qianxia's attitude, the young maid's expression shifted subtly. Yet, realizing she wasn't an easy person to deal with, their demeanor quickly became more respectful, albeit with a tinge of complexity. Jiang Qianxia paid no attention to the maid's changing expressions. She took a seat at the dining table, resting her chin on her hand in apparent boredom, though her thoughts were entirely focused on Si2 Xiaoyi. This was the second time in just 2 days. The little one had wandered off on his own, yet neither the servants nor Lu Ma had noticed. He was so young, and the villa was so vast, it was far too dangerous for him to roam around alone. Just earlier, when the little guy had tiptoed to grab the milk, it had been quite risky. Although the milk had been stacked securely in a pyramid, a single mishap could have caused it to topple and injure him. The consequences would have been unimaginable. The original host hadn't paid much attention to such matters, but Lu Ma, as his nanny, was supposed to remain by his side 24/7. From her memories, Jiang Qianxia recalled that before she had transmigrated into this body, the original host had once lashed out at Si2 Xiaoyi in anger. On that occasion, Lu Ma had shown up out of nowhere and immediately reported the incident. Including this time, Lu Ma had now been absent from the little one's side 3 times. Moreover, just moments ago, Jiang Qianxia had overheard Lu Ma scolding the child with crude and unpleasant language while holding him. She remembered clearly that 3-year-olds were at a critical stage for language development. Was Lu Ma truly qualified for her role? Si2 Xiaoyi was the cherished treasure of the Si2 family, their one and only golden grandson. How had he ended up with such poor care? Jiang Qianxia felt both puzzled and, to some degree, understood why the original story had developed the way it had. From what she had gathered about this world, the Si2 family's protection of Si2 Xiaoyi was alarmingly inadequate. As she pondered, Lu Ma came downstairs with Si2 Xiaoyi, now changed and carrying a little backpack. The backpack hung loosely on his small frame, appearing burdensome. Noticing Jiang Qianxia's gaze, Lu Ma's expression shifted. She immediately stepped forward defensively, placing herself between Jiang Qianxia and Si2 Xiaoyi. Seeing Jiang Qianxia seated at the table with only one set of breakfast before her, Lu Ma's anger flared. "Second young madam, if you're upset about the complaint I filed yesterday, you can come directly to me. Why take it out on our little young master by stealing his breakfast? If madam finds out about this..." Before Lu Ma could finish, a young maid carrying Si2 Xiaoyi's breakfast stepped out from the kitchen. Rolling her eyes at Lu Ma's antics, she said, "Lu Ma, if your eyesight is failing, perhaps you should go rest. The young master's breakfast is right here." Another maid, previously humiliated by Lu Ma, chimed in, "Exactly. We're just servants. We should know our place. No matter what, the madam is the properly wedded wife of the young master. How can you speak to her so disrespectfully? If the young master finds out..." The maid's implication rendered Lu Ma speechless, her face flushing with frustration. However, the stack of milk bottles not far away, clear evidence of the second young master's favor toward the vixen, was right there, making it hard for Lu Ma to retaliate. If she wasn't careful, these little maids would definitely report her. Lu Ma thought grimly to herself that she must report the current situation in the villa to madam as soon as possible. Otherwise, if that vixen continued to win over this group of maids, neither she nor the little young master would have any room to survive. After resolutely deciding to file another complaint against Jiang Qianxia, Aunt Lu was fuming with indignation, her eyes flickering with anger. Glancing at the plate placed next to Jiang Qianxia, she trembled with rage and led Si2 Xiaoyi to the other side of the dining table. Just as she was about to pick up Si2 Xiaoyi, she suddenly felt a lightness in in her arms. To her astonishment, Situ Xiaoya bent his little body and wriggled out of her grasp. Aunt Lu froze, utterly dumbfounded. She could only watch in disbelief as Situ Xiaoya waddled curiously toward Jiang Qianxia, resembling a little animal. Taking a deep breath, she called out, "Young master, your seat is over here." However, Situ Xiaoya ignored her completely. His beautiful, star-like eyes were fixed on Jiang Qianxia. Once he confirmed she wasn't stopping him, he carefully climbed onto the chair beside her and sat down obediently. After settling in, the little boy tilted up his chin, seemingly waiting for something. A maid quickly stepped forward and tied a small bib around his neck. Once the bib was secured, he didn't glance at Jiang Qianxia but instead lowered his head to examine his breakfast. He frowned slightly, picked up a spoon with his small hand, and began quietly feeding himself. This scene left Jiang Qianxia utterly captivated because the little one was just too adorable. Situ Xiaoya's private kindergarten uniform was a suspended mini suit, paired with a small bow tie, combined with his chubby yet strikingly handsome little face and his elegant, refined movements. He looked every bit like a little prince straight out of a fairy tale. Wow, he's just like a little prince from a storybook. Suddenly, the stepmother's voice interrupted Jiang Qianxia's thoughts. Situ Xiaoya paused his small, deliberate chewing motions and sneakily turned to look at his stepmother, only to find that she hadn't spoken at all. His previously well-behaved posture shifted slightly as his small feet began to swing gently. But soon, Aunt Lu's sharp voice shattered the pleasant atmosphere. She pointed at the egg whites in Jiang Qianxia's bowl and scolded sternly, "Second, young madam, the Situ family has a tradition of not being picky eaters. Since you've married into our family, you should follow the house rules." What? Jiang Qianxia was momentarily stunned. The sight of the old woman's earnest expression made her want to laugh. Internally, she thought to herself that she truly shared a kinship with all those people online complaining about their nannies. She decided to ignore Aunt Lu entirely, letting her rant as she pleased. However, Aunt Lu became even more agitated at being disregarded. "Second, young madam, even if you don't follow the rules, we as servants can't say much. But please, don't set a bad example for the young master. You should leave the dining room now. If the madam finds out, even the second young master won't be able to protect you." Hearing that his stepmother was also a picky eater, Situ Xiaoya had initially been secretly delighted. However, he quickly realized he wasn't going to escape the situation either, and his little face stiffened slightly. Jiang Qianxia tilted her head and noticed the little one carefully scooping out the egg yolk. She couldn't help but laugh. Kindred spirits. With that thought, she swiftly swapped the egg whites and yolks the two of them had picked out. When the previously unwanted yolk turned into egg white, Situ Xiaoya looked at Jiang Qianxia curiously. Jiang Qianxia gave him a knowing smile and then ate the yolk in one bite. Mimicking his stepmother, Situ Xiaoya scooped up a big spoonful of egg white, puffing out his cheeks like a little hamster. The sight once again filled Jiang Qianxia's heart with warmth. "Oh, this little one's eyes are so beautiful, like tiny stars." Situ Xiaoya couldn't help but glance at Jiang Qianxia as well, thinking to himself, stepmother's eyes are so pretty too. Under the table, two small feet swung happily, as if conveying an unspoken understanding. Perhaps beautiful people did share some similarities. This scene of stepmother and stepson looked so harmonious, almost as if they were truly mother and child. To Aunt Lu, this was utterly unbearable, but with so many servants present and given that Situ Xiaoya spent most of his time lost in his own world, she found herself temporarily at a loss. Her face darkened with frustration. As soon as Situ Xiaoya finished eating, Aunt Lu hurriedly removed his bib while warily eyeing Jiang Qianxia. She noticed Jiang Qianxia looking back at her with a puzzled expression, one that sent a chill down Aunt Lu's spine. Clutching Situ Xiaoya protectively, Aunt Lu declared, "Second young madam, do as you please. I'm taking the young master to kindergarten now." To her surprise, Jiang Qianxia immediately stood up and smiled. "To kindergarten? I'll go too." Aunt Lu's face changed drastically. "Second young madam, what is the meaning of this? Taking the young master to kindergarten is a task entrusted to me by the madam. It has nothing to do with you." Internally, Aunt Lu fumed. Jiang Qianxia's sudden change in behavior clearly meant she was up to something, but Jiang Qianxia was not someone Aunt Lu could easily stop. In the end, Jiang Qianxia still got into the car with them. Realizing that his stepmother was genuinely going to send him to kindergarten, Situ Xiaoya blinked and glanced at her serious face. Noticing Situ Xiaoya's gaze, Aunt Lu cursed silently. "Humph, vixen." Afterward, she deliberately showered Situ Xiaoya with affection, despite his lowered head and thoughtful expression, determined to appear as the doting caregiver. As the extended car slowly pulled out of the Situ family villa, Jiang Qianxia's expression subtly shifted. She noticed that the dark aura surrounding Aunt Lu had suddenly intensified, and even a faint trace of it lingered on Situ Xiaoya. As expected, this Aunt Lu is a magnet for misfortune, and the source of this misfortune, it's the spirits of her deceased stepchildren. She's bound to face disaster soon. But will the little one be affected by Aunt Lu's bad luck? Jiang Qianxia glanced at the beautiful child beside her, who was secretly observing her, and felt a twinge of anxiety. "I can only tell fortunes, not exorcise ghosts. How can I protect the little one?" Having already sensed his stepmother's silence, Situ Xiaoya's eyes widened slightly when he heard the words, "protect the little one." He looked at his stepmother's worried face with disbelief. Realizing that she was still pondering how to keep him safe, Situ Xiaoya's gaze turned curious and puzzled. Unable to resist, he scooted slightly closer to Jiang Qianxia. Throughout the journey, Aunt Lu's misfortune seemed to escalate. Every intersection brought a red light, and they barely avoided a pile-up accident. The driver's skillful maneuvering and a sharp swerve saved them from becoming part of the crash. In that split second, Jiang Qianxia held the little one, who had tumbled into her arms, her back drenched in cold sweat. The true source of bad luck, Aunt Lu, ended up on her knees in the car. With a cry of ouch, she struggled to get up, and the first thing she did was scold the driver for driving unsteadily. Old Lu, the driver, was an honest and humble man. Afraid that Aunt Lu might complain and cost him his job, he didn't dare to argue back. Having someone to scold without any retort, Aunt Lu felt much better in her heart. She rolled up her pants and saw her knee was bruised blue-black. Startled, she gasped sharply and screamed, "Oh heavens, my leg!" Touching the bruised knee with great great distress. Aunt Lu complained unhappily, "Look here, old Lu, I think you're getting too old for this job. You really should get reassigned. The way you drive is gambling with our little young master's life." Old Lu didn't expect that despite staying silent, the blame would still fall on him. His face turned red, but he dared not speak a word. At this moment, a young female voice came from the back seat. "If Lu uncle hadn't reacted quickly just now, our car would have surely rear-ended, and your leg might have been broken." Jiang Qianxia's words made Aunt Lu's heart tremble. Of course, she had seen the car that nearly collided with theirs, but since she was the only one injured in the vehicle, she felt indignant and took it out on old Lu. Unexpectedly, Jiang Qianxia continued, "If you keep distracting Lu uncle while he's driving, what if another car comes along later?" Aunt Lu shuddered all over in fear but stubbornly retorted, "I didn't say anything, I was just pointing things out. This time I fell, but what if it were the young master next time?" Old Lu didn't expect Jiang Qianxia to speak up for him. Grateful, he glanced at the rearview mirror and caught a brief glimpse of her stunningly beautiful face, immediately looking away. Usually, he was only responsible for taking the young master to and from school. He had heard that the people back at the old mansion didn't like her and had listened to some gossip among the servants. He had assumed she was an overbearing and spoiled woman, but now he realized that hearing rumors was one thing, seeing for himself was another. She was clearly quite reasonable. With someone standing up for him, old Lu couldn't help but straighten his back and defend himself. "Aunt Lu, that's not fair. My driving skills were even praised by the old master himself. I can't accept what you're saying." The old master old Lu referred to as the late grandfather of the Situ family, Situ's grandpa. The old master had been on the battlefield, and his dignified aura still made Aunt Lu uneasy. She immediately had nothing more to say. She glanced at Jiang Qianxia and saw her holding Situ Xiaoya tightly. What's more, Situ Xiaoya didn't resist at all. Instead, he stretched out his little hand and gently leaned against the woman's arms, looking completely content. At this moment, Aunt Lu felt a deep sense of betrayal. This vixen had already bewitched the second young master, and now she was trying to enchant even the young master. But she didn't dare get angry at Situ Xiaoya, so she gritted her teeth and glared at Jiang Qianxia, pretending to reach out to take the young master. "Second young madam, you can see how dangerous the road is. With your small arms and legs, I'm afraid you won't be able to protect the young master. Let me hold him instead." Jiang Qianxia, feeling the soft, squishy little boy in her arms, was reluctant to let go. But Aunt Lu wasn't one to reason. As soon as she finished speaking, she reached out to snatch Situ Xiaoya. Hearing his stepmother's inner thoughts about how soft and adorable he was, Situ Xiaoya's eyes lit up. Seeing Aunt Lu reaching out, he quickly burrowed into Jiang Qianxia's arms. He didn't want to be held by Aunt Lu. Her hugs made it hard for him to breathe, and she had a strange smell about her. But his pretty stepmother, who liked him and smelled nice, held him comfortably. With this in mind, Situ Xiaoya clung tightly to her, secretly nuzzling against her arm with attachment. Noticing the little boy's reaction, Jiang Qianxia's heart softened, and the corners of her mouth lifted. She avoided Aunt Lu's hand just as the car rounded a bend. Aunt Lu, who had half her body off the seat, ended up falling hard on her backside again. She cried out in pain, ouch, and it took her a good while to get up. Thanks to the spacious interior of the car, her fall was particularly dramatic. Jiang Qianxia couldn't help but laugh. "See, who's the one who can't sit still? You'd better take care of yourself first." As she spoke, Jiang Qianxia unconsciously squeezed the little boy's chubby hand in her arms. Soft and squishy, the little boy obediently opened his big, clear eyes to look at her without resisting, making her even more reluctant to let go. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Did the Situ family really place Aunt Lu, this so-called nanny, by the little boy's side out of love for him? The little boy, who had been happily snuggling in his stepmother's arms, suddenly froze when he heard her inner thoughts. His small face instantly turned pale. Then, he heard more evidence. "For one, over the past 2 days, I've seen nothing but Aunt Lu's irresponsibility, her crudeness, and her lack of proper care for the child. With such a luxurious car, they didn't even install a child seat. Is that so-called loving grandmother ignorant, or does she just not care?" Jiang Qianxia was lost in her thoughts, completely unaware that the child in her arms was growing paler and paler. The light that had been shining in Situ Xiaoya's bright little eyes gradually faded, returning to the dullness of before. He had always known. Grandma didn't like him, and Daddy didn't like him either. No one liked him. Just as the light in his little eyes was about to be extinguished completely, a warm pinch on his cheek brought him back. Oh dear, such an adorable little human cub. How could things turn out this way? It'd be such a pity if he grew up into a big bad guy. Without realizing it, Situ Xiaoya lifted his head and met a pair of sparkling eyes. The darkness in his heart seemed to dissipate, and the light returned, little by little. His pale little face slowly turned a rosy shade of excitement. It seemed that his stepmother liked him. He was a cute little cub, not an unwanted orphan. Jiang Qianxia had no idea what the little boy was thinking. She only felt that his mood was improving. She wondered for a moment but didn't dwell on it. Instead, her gaze suddenly shifted cautiously to the window. The kindergarten was just ahead, a sprawling, luxurious private school with a fairy tale castle-like design. It matched the prince outfit Situ Xiaoya was wearing perfectly. But what caught Jiang Qianxia's eye were 2 out-of-place, raggedly dressed children at the entrance of the kindergarten. The older sister looked about 5 or 6, holding the hand of her 2 or 3-year-old brother. Their dark, hollow eyes stared straight into the car. Suddenly, the 2 children locked eyes with Jiang Qianxia, and in the blink of an eye, they vanished from sight. After the meeting, Situ returned to his office, rubbing his temples wearily. His gaze was sharp as he asked his assistant, Chen Junming, "Where's the surveillance?" Chen Junming noticed the bloodshot eyes of his boss and was taken aback. He hadn't expected that after working through the entire night, Situ would still be concerned about this matter. Hesitating, he handed over a USB drive and cautiously suggested, "President, how about you take a break?" Yesterday, as soon as Situ left the restaurant, he received a call from the company. A major issue had arisen in the second department, involving an international project. If it couldn't be salvaged, it might severely impact the company's plans for the second half of next year. Without hesitation, he He returned to the company and worked tirelessly through the night to avert the crisis, not stopping until dawn. The second department primarily handled international projects, and Chen Junming had been of little help. He had only managed to snatch a brief nap in between, and even now, he was struggling to stay awake. Reflecting on the situation, Chen Junming couldn't help but admire his iron-willed boss. As a personal assistant, Chen Junming rarely saw his superior leave work later than himself. At this moment, he felt reluctant to leave, as though doing so would be inappropriate. Sityu took the USB drive, plugged it in, and began watching the surveillance footage. After a brief moment, he realized Chen Junming was still standing there. He frowned and said, "Alright, you can go. Notify everyone that, aside from the second department, those who worked overtime last night can take half a day off." Without looking up, he focused back on the video. In the footage, a woman appeared on the staircase. Though he had just seen her last night, Sityu was still momentarily struck by her graceful figure. After descending the stairs, the woman wandered into the kitchen, inspecting the area and opening the refrigerator. At that moment, a small figure sneaked in from outside the door. The little one's eyes darted around, and he moved with great caution, clearly not his first time attempting this. His target was the refrigerator. The woman examined the contents for a while, then took out a carton of milk. As she drank, she turned her head, locking eyes with the little fellow. Both of them were startled in the footage, and for a moment, they stared at each other in shock, one big, one small, frozen in place. Then, the woman's eyes lit up with a strange glimmer, while the child's wary gaze turned into one of terror. Finally, under the woman's confused look, the child bolted away in a panic. Sityu rewound the footage, replaying the moments when their gazes met to analyze the subtle changes in their expressions. He was almost certain that Xiaoya had heard the woman's thoughts and been frightened off by them, but from their meeting last night, he had also observed that while the woman's inner thoughts were hidden, her eyes were very telling. Her gaze was filled with both confusion and joy. So, why had Xiaoya been so terrified? Toward the end of the video, the boy yelled help as he fled outside, only for Lu Ma to arrive belatedly. Sityu adjusted the timeline of the footage and spotted a blind spot. Before Jiang Qianxia descended the stairs, a small, sneaky figure had already appeared just outside the living room. After watching for 2 minutes, Sityu deduced that the boy had been avoiding the servants. This revelation meant that Xiaoya had been alone for nearly half an hour before Lu Ma arrived. At this point, Sityu's brows furrowed deeply. When Lu Ma had cared for the two brothers during their childhood, despite the older brother being a few years senior, she had always stayed close to him. The two brothers weren't conjoined twins, so naturally, they couldn't always be together. As a result, he had often been overlooked, left to hide away and occupy himself. As an adult, Sityu understood the reasons behind Lu Ma's favoritism, though he had long since stopped caring. After all, Lu Ma was just a trivial caretaker in his eyes. The one who truly experienced the brunt of this favoritism was. Halfway through his thoughts, Sityu closed his eyes and let out a soft breath. When he reopened them, his emotions were once again suppressed and unreadable. Returning his focus to the video, he watched Jiang Qianxia remain silent as Xiaoya blurted out, "Don't eat me. I'm not tasty." Sityu became even more certain that this woman was entertaining some bizarre thoughts, which Xiaoya had overheard. However, he also observed that from start to finish, Jiang Qianxia's gaze toward the child held no trace of disgust. Instead, it was filled with a peculiar curiosity that made Sityu wonder if he had misunderstood her during their previous encounter. Yet, in the next moment, he saw in the footage how the woman, nonchalant and at ease, verbally countered Lu Ma before casually answering his mother's call, spouting some nonsensical remarks. Something about suggesting the maid sign up to be his wife. Sityu's already exhausted temples throbbed painfully, and he clenched his teeth, muttering, "This woman." Yesterday, Zhu Qing's secretary had called him, claiming that Jiang Qianxia had angered Zhu Qing to the point of fainting. He hadn't believed it. He knew Zhu Qing didn't get along with Jiang Qianxia, but she didn't particularly like him either. Since his elder brother's death, Zhu Qing had grown increasingly extreme, often using self-pity as a tactic to manipulate him into achieving her own goals. As a result, Sityu had assumed that the secretary had exaggerated and had no intention of being bound by so-called familial ties to compromise on anything. He had even recalled how, the day before, Zhu Qing had called to reprimand him. Out of frustration, he hadn't bothered investigating and had lashed out at his nominal wife instead. Feeling somewhat guilty, he had added extra compensation to the divorce agreement. He hadn't expected that Zhu Qing actually had fainted. Scenes from the restaurant the previous day, filled with the woman's chaotic and nonsensical words, replayed in Sityu's mind, igniting his fury once again. With a sharp snap, he yanked the USB drive from the computer, unwilling to watch further for fear of being angered to death. He poured himself a glass of water, calming himself for a few moments, but ultimately refrained from calling Zhu Qing. Instead, he turned and pushed open the door to the bedroom within his office, dialing another number as he entered. It was for Sityu Xiaoya's psychologist, Erickson. Sityu succinctly explained the situation of Sityu Xiaoya speaking up. Hearing this, Erickson was astonished. With his heavily accented Chinese, he asked, "Oh my dear Mr. Sityu, could you describe in detail the circumstances under which our adorable little patient spoke? What exactly did he say?" Having long given up on correcting Erickson's peculiar manner of speaking, Sityu took a deep breath, thinking, I can't possibly say that Xiaoya was scared by his stepmother's thoughts. In the end, he gave a brief explanation. He overheard the person next to him, misunderstood their intentions, got scared, and shouted help. On the other end of the line, Erickson scribbled furiously and continued, "Oh, God, frightened? Were there any other physical reactions?" Sityu recalled the terrified expression and clumsy escape of the little boy in the footage. Rubbing his throbbing temples, he paused before describing the scene he had witnessed. Erickson asked a few more questions before happily concluding, "Rest assured, this is a sign of progress." Yes, I'll return to the country tomorrow, and by then, I hope to meet with my lovely little patient. Sityu replied in a deep voice, alright, I'll make arrangements for tomorrow. Sensing the coldness in Sityu's tone, Erickson hesitated for a moment before cautiously adding, Mr. Sityu, you know, a positive parent-child relationship can also be a form of healing for you. Are you sure you don't need? No, thank you. Sityu decisively hung up the phone. Jiang Qianxia immediately recognized the two children, Lu Ma's ex-husband's son and daughter. Their faces still lingered in the tender years of their deaths, yet, they had passed away many years ago, and it was unclear how long they had been haunting Lu Ma. Jiang Qianxia thought to herself that she would not tell Lu Ma that all of this was the result of her past karma. What concerned her most now was the origin of the black aura surrounding Sityu Xiaoya. Was it the resentment of those two little ghosts, or had he once come into contact with them? Her gaze shifted away from the disappearing figures of the children and noticed that the black aura around Lu Ma was growing thicker, while the black aura around Sityu Xiaoya was actually diminishing. With doubt in her mind, Jiang Qianxia quickly dodged when Aunt Lu reached out to take Sityu Xiaoya, personally handing him over to the teacher. Regardless of the reason, interacting with the unlucky Aunt Lu is absolutely unsafe. Sityu Xiaoya heard Jiang Qianxia's inner thoughts. Although puzzled, he still leaned closer to her. Aunt Lu saw this and gritted her teeth, wanting to catch up, but was interrupted by the phone in her pocket, falling a step behind. The teacher saw Jiang Qianxia holding Sidong Xiaoya's hand and asked in surprise, may I ask, are you Sitong's stepmother? Jiang Qianxia replied calmly. The teacher, who had originally intended to praise their resemblance as mother and son, paused for a moment. Then, noticing Sidong Xiaoya obediently holding Jiang Qianxia's hand, her smile returned. She said to Jiang Qianxia, I can tell that Sidong really likes you. Now it was Jiang Qianxia's turn to be surprised. What? The little one actually likes me? Shouldn't he be afraid of me instead? Upon hearing the stepmother's inner thoughts, Sityu Xiaoya quietly pressed his little face against the back of Jiang Qianxia's hand that was holding his, silently thinking, like, but also afraid. If the stepmother didn't eat children, then he would like her even more. Thinking about it, he couldn't bear to let go of the stepmother's fragrant fingers. The teacher noticed Sityu Xiaoya's small movements and smiled even more naturally. The teachers only knew that this child belonged to the Sityu family. His grandmother had come before, but they had never seen his parents. Unexpectedly, his parents were divorced, and he even had such a beautiful stepmother. Moreover, the relationship between little Sidong and his stepmother was surprisingly close. This is indeed rare in wealthy families. Thinking of this, the kindergarten teacher stepped forward and asked, Mrs. Sidong, do you have time to learn about little Sitong's situation in kindergarten? Jiang Qianxia lowered her head to look at the little one snuggling beside her. Feeling his subtle anticipation, she hesitated and nodded slightly. Upon seeing this, the kindergarten teacher put away her smile and her expression turned serious. Student Sityu has no friends in kindergarten. After speaking, she tentatively glanced at Jiang Qianxia. Seeing her calm expression, she continued, in kindergarten, not only does he ignore his classmates, but he also ignores the teachers. Yet, he is overly well behaved. He can eat, sleep, and use the restroom independently, even resisting the teacher's assistance. Due to class time, the teacher did not say much to Jiang Qianxia, only briefly described the situation and tactfully suggested taking Sityu Xiaoya to see a psychologist. After bidding farewell to the kindergarten teacher, Jiang Qianxia felt deeply puzzled. Why does the kindergarten seem completely unaware of the little one's autism condition? Did the Sityu family not communicate with the kindergarten? Watching Jiang Qianxia's departing figure, Sityu Xiaoya quietly hid behind the pillar. The kindergarten teacher noticed he hadn't entered the classroom yet and bent down to ask softly, does our little Sityu like his mom very much? The little one, who had never responded to others before, gave the teacher a reaction this time. He watched the car disappear, then looked up at the teacher with his beautiful eyes and said in a soft, childish voice, Mama? The kindergarten teacher was shocked. Sityu, you spoke. Back in the car, Jiang Qianxia found that Aunt Lu was unexpectedly missing. Driver old Lu saw her confusion and explained. Aunt Lu received a call from home and went back. Jiang Qianxia's heart trembled, and she immediately thought of those two missing little ghosts. She had never met Lu Ma's husband, but from Lu Ma's appearance, she could tell that she had committed murder, killing her current husband's two children and having a son with him. When the two children died after their stepmother entered the household, any normal person would become suspicious. So it is reasonable to speculate that Lu Ma's husband was either aware of her killing his children or directly involved in it. Therefore, the two ghostly children haunting them were targeting not just Lu Ma, but also her husband, and even her son. Combined with the black aura surrounding Aunt Lu, it was so heavy it felt suffocating. Jiang Qianxia casually asked Uncle Lu, did something happen at Aunt Lu's home? Because she had helped speak up earlier, the driver Uncle Lu had a very good impression of her and spoke freely, telling Jiang Qianxia everything he knew. Sigh, I guess it's her son causing trouble again. When mentioning Lu Ma's son, the driver, old Lu, spoke with a tone full of regret and emotion. It turned out that Lu Ma's son had hysteria since childhood. The elderly couple spent their entire lives running around for him, visiting countless hospitals, but to no avail. They were even more reluctant to send him to a mental hospital because his hysteria came and went. During his normal periods, being in such a place would be a nightmare. Moreover, when Lu Ma's son was in a normal state, he was nothing short of a genius. His academic performance was extraordinary, and he successfully got into a prestigious university, even earning double degrees. Unfortunately, after graduating from university, his hysteria worsened. Every time he found a good job, it would be disrupted by a hysteria outbreak. Now in his 30s, Lu Ma and her husband no longer dared to leave the house, locking their son at home every day. Because at his worst, her son would even dress in women's clothing and groom himself in front of the mirror. Sigh, although Lu Ma can be somewhat unreasonable, having a son like this, one really wonders what sins she committed in her past life. Jiang Qianxia raised an eyebrow upon hearing this. Maybe it's the sins committed in this life? Uncle Lu sighed. What a terrible sin this must be. Jiang Qianxia thought of the two little ghost children in their tattered clothes and said softly, interfering in someone else's family, becoming a mistress, and even killing two stepchildren. Driver Uncle Lu was stunned. He had initially thought Jiang Qianxia was talking nonsense, but when he inadvertently met her calm eyes in the rearview mirror, his heart trembled. Is what you said true? Jiang Qianxia nodded firmly. Absolutely true. You should be seeing her retribution soon. Uncle Lu was stunned. He then recalled the rumor spread by a few old servants at the Situ family's old residence, who were at odds with Aunt Lu about her involvement in an affair when she was young. A chill ran through his heart. Could it really be true? As soon as Aunt Lu's topic ended, the car fell into silence. It wasn't until they stopped in front of the villa and Jiang Qianxia got out of the car that the honest and simple Uncle Lu couldn't help but ask, Madam, were you really not joking about what you said earlier? Jiang Qianxia stopped in her tracks, turned back to meet Uncle Lu's gaze, and slightly raised the corners of her mouth. Of course it's not a joke, I calculated it. Uncle Lu was stunned for a moment, then laughed, though still somewhat skeptical in his heart, and teased, Madam, you truly have divine foresight. Seeing his disbelief, Jiang Qianxia didn't plan to prove it on the spot and simply said softly, if needed, you can come to me. Uncle Lu chuckled heartily. Alright, then I'll thank you in advance, Madam. He was the driver for the old mansion. Although he was responsible for picking up and dropping off Situ Xiaoya, he still had to return to the old mansion. After Jiang Qianxia got out of the car, he left. The maids in the villa saw Jiang Qianxia return and immediately began reenacting yesterday's competition for favor. Although their flattery was amusing, they were, after all, maids of a wealthy family. Jiang Qianxia didn't find it annoying. Instead, she enjoyed the days when there was always someone to lend a hand. She marveled at how, in just one day, she had already grown accustomed to this kind of life. Taking off her coat, Jiang Qianxia walked to the conspicuous milk mountain inside the villa, her face full of confusion. She wondered if it was because she drank the little one's milk that an entire truckload of milk had been sent over. Was this for her to drink, or to socially embarrass her? What puzzled her even more was that the milk had a shelf life of only 10 days. Were they expecting her to finish a truckload in 10 days? Let alone just her, even everyone in the villa combined couldn't finish it all. Pinching her chin and circling around the mountain of milk, Jiang Qianxia suddenly had a bright idea. Let's donate it. What? The maids surrounding her were all stunned. However, Jiang Qianxia paid no attention to their reactions. Having made up her mind, she began seriously considering how to make the donation. She called the driver and arranged for 2 maids to contact the nearest welfare institution. After everything was arranged, Jiang Qianxia returned to her room and dismissed the maids. She then logged into her live streaming account, intending to check if her first client had responded and to explore potential new clients. Private messages were once again 99+, just as expected, and there were still plenty of people cursing her. This time, there was a new reason. Apparently, her fortune-telling for Cha-Cha during the last livestream had been debunked again. It was still that same metaphysics master who had previously exposed the original host's fabricated metaphysical theories. This time, he claimed that face reading simply couldn't be done through photos, not even by the current grandmasters of metaphysics. Immediately, the haters celebrated wildly, and even the master's fans were furious over the shallow pond, many turtles incident. Coincidentally, when Jiang Qianxia logged in, that master Shanqing was live streaming. The bullet comments were abuzz with discussions about this matter. How outrageous. Someone actually dares to show off in front of our master Shanqing. Exactly, it's hilarious. Doesn't he know that nowadays, people from the Shan sect have to announce their sect when they go out? That fortune-telling guy is such a fool. Did he really believe it? I'm dying of laughter. I think that guy wasn't scared at all. He's probably just one of the actors hired by Wang Ba Duo. Feeling guilty, huh? In contrast to the lively comments on the screen, the livestream showed a young, delicate Taoist priest in traditional robes, explaining with a complicated expression. Please don't overreact, and stop insulting fellow practitioner Qi Qian Wang Ba Duo. I was merely pointing out that his metaphysical methods are unorthodox, not accusing him of being a fraud. I hope everyone exercises more judgment when encountering such situations. After speaking, he noticed the comments teasing him for being naive and even escalating the insults towards Qi Qian Wang Ba Duo. Feeling flustered, Shanqing's face turned red as he helplessly continued to persuade. My master once said that aside from orthodox metaphysical practices, there are many hidden and unknown schools. Perhaps fellow practitioner Wang Ba Duo is using other methods. The truth can only be determined when I meet him in person. However, the barrage of comments did not rationally listen to his explanation. Instead, they kept advising him not to think too highly, clearly indicating from those defending Jiang Qianxia that he was not a good person. Looking at the frenzied comments, Shanqing sighed helplessly and continued to persuade. Judging a person's fate through photos is inaccurate. Similarly, assessing someone's character through videos is unreliable. Fellow Taoists, why not focus on yourselves and use your own eyes and heart to understand a person? However, the feedback he received was, alright, I'll listen to the master. Next time for sure. Yes, next time for sure. Forget about Jiang Qianxia, but since our Taoist Shanqing has spoken, I'll listen. Next time for sure. The persuasion was fruitless and only escalated further, leaving Shanqing as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. He thought to himself, cultivating in the mortal world is truly too difficult. The people down the mountain are so stubborn, always unwilling to listen. Last time, a netizen brought him a post from someone called Shallow Pool, Many Turtles, asking whether orthodox metaphysics could use such a method to determine if someone had undergone cosmetic surgery. At the time, he simply used orthodox metaphysical methods to explain briefly that it was not possible, pointed out the parts of the post that were inconsistent with orthodox metaphysics, and expressed his desire to discuss the matter with that fellow practitioner if given the chance. Unexpectedly, the netizen interpreted his meaning as, this is not a metaphysical method at all, and he was going to personally expose it as fake. That was really not what he meant. He just wanted to discuss the matter with that fellow practitioner. However, in any case, his words caused the fellow cultivator known as Shallow Pool, Many Turtles, to bear quite a bit of infamy. According to the sect's rules, the heart of the Tao must remain clear, and karma must be repaid. He must either clear that fellow cultivator's name or prove their falsehood. Otherwise, his Tao heart would not remain clear, and his cultivation would struggle to progress. Thus, for the second time, that fellow cultivator Shallow Pool, Many Turtles appeared again, and with just a photo from an online user, he calculated all the calamities in her life. Before the online user could approach him, he proactively began studying the photo of Cha-Cha fly freely. The more he looked, the more amazed he became. He couldn't help but post something, marveling at this fellow cultivator Chi-Chan Wangba duo, who was either a fraud or a reclusive master even more powerful than the ancestors of the current Orthodox Shin sect. However, for some reason, his post was misunderstood by netizens again. The netizens even praised him for being naturally sarcastic, understanding subtle mockery, and called him YYDS. Reading this, Xianqing, who had stayed away from the internet since childhood and had been cultivating in seclusion at his sect, was utterly confused. What on earth was going on? At this moment, a comment flashed across the screen. Look, that Wangba duo is online. As soon as Chi-Chan Wangba duo came online, the comments section erupted. Everyone started urging Xianqing to connect with her for a PK, and the atmosphere for a live showdown was instantly ignited. Xianqing explained multiple times to no avail and received no response from Chi-Chan Wangba duo. After carefully reading the heated discussions among the netizens, a thought struck him. This might actually work. Whether the other party was real or fake, as long as they could connect, the truth would be revealed. After Jiang Qianxia logged in, she habitually cleared the abusive messages in the background with one click, only to find that the haters had started bombarding her with private messages again. She casually skimmed through a few comments that weren't too malicious but still couldn't find a suitable candidate. However, Jiang Qianxia wasn't disappointed. She was confident. She then checked the homepage of Cha-Cha Carefree Flying and noticed that she hadn't been online for the past 2 days. Scrolling through Cha-Cha's photos, Jiang Qianxia noticed signs of looseness in both her friendship and romantic connections. This indicates that Cha-Cha is already personally verifying her words, but has not fully accepted or found clear evidence yet. However, since both lines have loosened, it shows that Cha-Cha is starting to believe her. Jiang Qianxia was in no hurry. She opened the live streaming room and was about to randomly select a lucky viewer when she suddenly received a pop-up message. You have received a live PK connection request from the streamer, Xingxian Men Xianqing. Would you like to accept? Yes or no? Xingxian sect Xianqing? Jiang Qianxia was stunned. Isn't this the master who exposed her as a fraud? What is a livestream PK? At this moment, in the live stream chat, viewers from Xianqing's side who came to watch the drama started mocking. TSK, fake is fake. You don't dare to accept when you meet a real master, huh? Jiang Qianxia's paid supporters. Why don't you have the guts to accept? Didn't Jiang Qianxia pay you enough? LOL, if this person dares to accept the PK, I'll wash my hair standing on my head. He. If he accepts, I'll do a handstand and poop. Ha ha ha. The guy in front, remember to live stream it when the time comes. Yuck, my screen feels dirty now. Jiang Qianxia saw this and couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. Speaking up, alright, then I'll accept. The two who promised to do handstands, don't forget. After speaking, she decisively chose yes. The live stream instantly switched to split screen mode, and a delicate young Taoist priest with white teeth and red lips appeared on the other side. The barrage, originally filled with complaints and curses, suddenly changed its tone. Ha ha ha, where did those two handstand guys go? The streamer accepted a PK. Hurry up and start your live stream. Reasonably suspect this guy is stalling to let the two handstand brothers take the PK. Just hesitated for so long, clearly not planning to accept, right? To be fair, this jerk is quite entertaining. Why not switch careers and become a comedy streamer instead of coming out to deceive people? Jiang Qianxia did not get angry in the face of the doubts but calmly explained, I am not deceiving anyone. As she was speaking, she accepted a connection request from another livestream room. As soon as she passed through, she heard a clear and youthful voice from the other side. Daoist Pool Shallow Turtles. Hello, I am Xianqing, the 48th generation disciple of the Xingxian sect. May I ask which sect you hail from? Seeing Xianqing's face, Jiang Qianxia was astonished. First, she was surprised by his age. The earlier criticism had made her think he was a middle-aged man, but he turned out to be only 17. In her world, humans who fell from the tree of life were usually around 18 to 20 years old. In other words, this master Xianqing is still a young cub? Jiang Qianxia curiously examined his features and was surprised by his fate. He is actually the future heir of the Shan men in this world. Of course, for now, he is still in the seedling stage. Jiang Qianxia guessed that he must have been well protected by the elders of the Shan sect and had just come down the mountain not long ago. The third surprising point was that this kid's way of speaking matched his personality, carrying a hint of naive sweetness, completely devoid of the arrogance typical of a master. Almost instantly, Jiang Qianxia understood that his two comments about her were genuinely heartfelt and not the sarcastic or high-level mockery that netizens had misunderstood. She couldn't help but feel both amused and exasperated, and her previous anger toward him dissipated completely. She said calmly, I don't have a sect. I was born with a talent to read people's faces. After speaking, sure enough, Xianqing across from her did not immediately show a suspicious expression but instead pondered for a moment before continuing to ask, fellow Taoist, would you be willing to verify your ability online? Having a genuine member of the mystical sect as a witness was like a pie falling from the sky for Jiang Qianxia. Without hesitation, she nodded decisively, sure. Seeing Jiang Qianxia agree so readily, Xianqing felt a sense of relief in his heart. His karmic ties would be resolved, and his Tao heart could quickly regain clarity. Moreover, the other party's confidence greatly increased. The likelihood that she was the real deal. If she truly possessed a natural talent for face reading, Xianqing couldn't help but take a sharp breath inward. This would be a talent even greater than that of his sect's ancestors. His heart was filled with anticipation, yet there was a hint of regret. He anticipated the metaphysics world gaining a stunning genius, but regretted only discovering her now. Taking a deep breath to suppress his excitement, Xianqing, with a slightly flushed face, earnestly said, if it proves that what you said is true, I will sincerely apologize to you and make up for the previous misunderstanding. However, he paused, his clear and gentle eyes fixed on the pitch-black half of the screen, and said seriously, if it turns out that you're fake, I hope you will apologize to everyone, correct your actions, and refrain from deceiving people in the future. It was evident that this young Taoist priest, Xianqing, rarely spoke with a stern face, and his ears turned slightly red from just offering a piece of advice. Jiang Qianxia couldn't help but smile. smile with delight. Alright. She mimicked his tone, deliberately pausing before saying, however. Once again hearing Jiang Qianxia's straightforward agreement, Xianqing, who was about to smile, suddenly paused. Then he heard the person opposite say, if it's verified that I'm real, I have one request. Upon seeing this, the barrage of comments immediately began advising Xianqing not to fall for it. The pond is shallow, and there are plenty of turtles. She hasn't even proven herself to be real yet and is already making demands. However, Xianqing believed that inviting someone to verify their authenticity was to understand cause and effect, and fairness should be upheld. Without hesitation, he replied, please speak, fellow Taoist. Jiang Qianxia glanced at the barrage of comments calling her shameless for persuading Xianqing in vain, and a smile curved at the corner of her lips. This request, I'll mention it after the verification is complete. Xianqing still did not refuse and nodded slightly. Alright. Xianqing agreed without hesitation, directly breaking the hearts of the audience. Ah, my innocent little Taoist priest. What if this guy makes a request you can't fulfill? Seeing this comment, Xianqing remained gentle and chuckled softly. I trust fellow Taoist Wang Ba Duo. If the other party truly is that kind of genius, Xianqing firmly believes that for the sake of Xianmen, he will overcome all difficulties to meet the other party's demands. Seeing the sincerity on Xianqing's face, Jiang Qianxia was scolded again, but she didn't mind. Instead, she curiously sized up this simple yet self-aware young Taoist priest with a sense of responsibility and asked, little Taoist Xianqing, is your sect very worried about you coming down the mountain? Xianqing was taken aback, his cheeks slightly flushed, and he instinctively asked, how did you know? As soon as the words left his mouth, he realized it and felt annoyed, thinking this matter tarnished the image of the Jingxian sect. He plans to verify whether this Jiqian Wangba duo is genuine. If the person truly has talent, he intends to invite them to join Jingxian's sect on its behalf. How could he ruin the reputation of his sect? Jiang Qianxia saw through his little scheme and couldn't help but laugh. You've just come down from the mountain, haven't you? Not very familiar with the internet? Xianqing nodded, his tone carrying a hint of sentiment. Yes, I just came down from the mountain not long ago. The internet is truly. Jiang Qianxia understood what he was thinking and smiled even more happily, then continued, let me recommend an app that everyone in the village uses. As soon as these words were spoken, viewers in both livestream rooms felt that Jiqian Wangba duo was stalling for time and began urging him, stop stalling, hurry up and get started. Exactly, what's with recommending an app? You agreed so readily, but now you're afraid to take up the challenge. Huh? Damn, this is boring. I'd rather go watch a female streamer dance. Jiang Qianxia glanced at the comments and suddenly said, hey, the viewer who wants to go watch the female streamer. Wait a second, you haven't done a handstand while pooping live yet. In a public restroom in some city, a middle-aged man struggling with constipation was suddenly startled, and his phone fell to the ground. His face turned red as he picked up the phone, awkwardly checked the restroom stalls, a chill running down his spine. He looked back at the livestream again, no way. Soon, he noticed the comments saying, shallow pool, many turtles, what a great memory. He realized what was happening and couldn't help but curse angrily, damn, scared me to death. Turns out this turtle remembered my ID all along. After this little episode, he ended up not leaving the livestream, but because of the flag about doing a handstand while defecating, he didn't dare to post any more comments. Mistakenly thought to have seen the ID of the defecating guy, Jiang Qianxia didn't bother to explain and instead said to Xianqing, the app one recommend is called the National Anti-Fraud Center. Everyone in our village has it. As soon as Jiang Qianxia finished speaking, the Xianqing fans who had rushed into her livestream with knives in hand immediately put them down and burst into laughter. Xianqing was a bit confused, but being an honest person, he felt that Jiang Qianxia probably wasn't lying after hearing the word national, especially since the fans in the livestream were enthusiastically recommending this app. So, he downloaded it on the spot. In an instant, Xianqing's fans flooded Jiang Qianxia's livestream, spamming boundless merit. When Xianqing finished downloading the app, Jiang Qianxia asked him, how do you plan to verify whether I'm real or not? Xianqing already had an idea, and with the audience also offering suggestions, he said, fellow Taoist, you can read someone's fate based on a photo, but I can't do that. However, if it's a video, I can observe a thing or two. Jiang Qianxia suddenly understood, so you mean we find an audience member's video and then do a live fortune telling? Xianqing nodded, yes. Then, he added, however, if you have a better idea, fellow Taoist, I can cooperate as well. Jiang Qianxia pondered for a moment, then looked at the comments and asked, so, is there anyone among the audience willing to turn on their video and accept a live fortune telling? The comments were flooded with people expressing their willingness. Seeing this, Jiang Qianxia had no objections and continued to ask, should we each do a reading, or just one of us? Before the words were finished, the barrage immediately provided the answer. Of course, they count as the same person, otherwise how can we compare? Count as the same. Controlling the single variable is the only way to truly compare. A gleam of pride flashed in Jiang Qianxia's eyes. Her goal was to be a fellow audience member alongside this young Taoist of Xianqing and to advance hand in hand. Xianqing was the first person from the Xianmen sect that she had truly come into contact with after arriving in this world, and he was also destined to be a key figure in the future. Through Xianqing, Jiang Qianxia easily uncovered many secrets of the Xianmen. She understood that if she wanted to make a name for herself in this field, gaining the recognition of the Xianmen was imperative, and Xianqing was her best stepping stone. The two had no objections to jointly divining for one person, so they directly began the random selection process for the fortune-telling audience. To prevent cheating, the rules were clear. The first audience member would be drawn by Xianqing, chosen from those in Jiang Qianxia's livestream who sent the words willing. The next audience member would be drawn by Jiang Qianxia, chosen from those in Xianqing's livestream who also sent the word willing. Before long, the first fortune-telling audience member appeared. He introduced himself as Old Wang, 6 feet tall. It took about a minute for the video connection to finally go through. On the screen, a sallow, thin young man with a sinister look in his eyes appeared, flashing a cunning smile. My surname is Wang. I'd like to ask the two streamers to help me figure out where my wife is now, he said, with a trace of elusive malice in his tone. At that moment, a faint sense of discomfort arose in the hearts of the viewers cameras in both livestream rooms. However, Xianqing's expression remained calm, as did Jiang Qianxia's behind the screen. From the first glance at this man, Jiang Qianxia had already known the answer. But considering that Xianqing was a treasured member of the Orthodox Xianmen, exposing the man too bluntly would not be conducive to her subsequent interactions with Xianmen. Thus, she chose to patiently wait for him to speak first. After calculating the answer, Xianqing deliberately waited for 2 minutes before calmly saying, "Fellow Taoist, I am ready." Jiang Qianxia also responded, "I am ready too." Xianqing smiled easily, "Then let's count down from 3 together and say the answer." Jiang Qianxia nodded, "Okay." So, the two of them said in unison, 3, 2, 1, "You don't have a wife." However, after being guessed correctly, Lao Wang Yimi Ba in the shot remained completely unfazed and continued to smile as if it were only natural. "Of course, I don't have a wife. If I did, why would I come to you? You two call yourselves masters, yet you can't even see something this obvious?" The attitude of old Wang, 1.8 meters tall, was infuriating, and the viewers in the livestream all felt she was being unreasonable. However, Xianqing and Jiang Qianxia remained calm, having already seen through her intentions to stir up trouble and were mentally prepared. Facing the mockery, Xianqing responded bluntly, "Although I'm not skilled at calculating marriage prospects, with a meeting and the birth date, I can still deduce a thing or two." Actually, these words were modest, as he was destined to be the future pillar of the Xian sect, brimming with talent. However, old Wang at 1.8 meters didn't understand at all. With a crooked smile, he continued to mock smugly, "Just this little skill? I think you're no better than those fortune tellers under the bridge." Xianqing was unfazed and instead asked Jiang Qianxia if she could discern anything. Jiang Qianxia felt helpless about Xianqing's good temper, but after thinking about it, she realized that this good temper was actually beneficial for her needs. Her response satisfied Xianqing and also caused a slight glint to flash in the eyes of old Wang 1.8 meters. A lewd smile appeared on his sharp-featured face as he rubbed his hands and said, "Alright, let me see if you can figure anything out." Jiang Qianxia gave a cold smile. "Before calculating that, let me help you calculate something else first." "What do you mean?" Old Wang, who was 1.8 meters tall, was stunned. Jiang Qianxia asked, "How tall are you?" Old Wang, 1.8 meters tall, said angrily, "I'm 1.8 meters. Are you blind? It's written on my ID." Jiang Qianxia chuckled lightly, "Your ID says you're called Old Wang, but your surname is Wang?" Old Wang, standing at 1.8 meters, was at a loss for words, looking at the camera in confusion. "Hey, kid, you're not stalling for time, are you? I don't care about anything else, just tell me where my future wife is. I'll go pick her up right now and bring her home to honor my mom." As soon as he said this, the comment section exploded. Even Jiang Qianxia's haters couldn't hold back. 666, the legendary outsourced filial piety has appeared. Disgusting, this guy is looking for a wife just to take care of his mom. Damn, maybe it's better not to. This guy is really scary. If he knows where his future wife is and brings her home early, isn't that basically kidnapping? Ugh, the person above nailed it. Forget it. Next one. However, Jiang Qianxia paid no attention to the comments and continued, "I don't need birth dates or face-to-face meetings to tell fortunes, but since you're asking about something that hasn't happened yet, I need to observe the aura around you." Originally, everyone was ready to mock these two charlatans, but unexpectedly, Jiang Qianxia spoke with great clarity. Old Wang, who was 1.8 meters tall, listened and felt slightly shaken. Curious, he asked, "How do you observe?" At this moment, the barrage of comments turned their focus on Jiang Qianxia. "Damn, I was planning to apologize for what I said earlier if you were the real deal, but it turns out you're helping this kind of scum. Haha, looks like I went too easy on you before. Whoa, does this count as aiding a kidnapping? Would calling the police help? Don't let him off the hook, that damn bastard." Jiang Qianxia originally paid no attention to the comments, but the phrase "damn bastard" made her unable to hold back. She took a deep breath, restrained her emotions, and continued, "The energy around you is related to your current environment. I need to take a look at the 3 tallest buildings around you." Jiang Qianxia's words made Lao Wang, who was 1.8 meters tall, show a wary expression. She continued, "Of course, if you don't want to show me, you can describe the positions and approximate heights of the 3 tallest buildings around you. Although you don't have the ability to sense energy, the effect might be slightly reduced, but I can still calculate it." Lao Wang, 1.8 meters tall, asked skeptically, "Really?" Jiang Qianxia said, "You're 169 centimeters tall, wearing thick-soled shoes and height insoles barely makes you 175 centimeters, which rounds up to 1.8 meters, right?" In an instant, old Wang, who was 1.8 meters tall, changed his expression and sternly rebuked, "What nonsense are you spouting? If Yao Ming comes, I'm still 1.8 meters tall, alright." Jiang Qianxia replied indifferently, "Just take it as me talking nonsense." However, the barrage of comments that had been criticizing her shifted due to old Wang's 1.8 meter reaction. "This flustered old Wang is truly convincing. I can't believe it. I've heard of guys lying about their height, and today I finally witnessed it. So fake. TSK. This guy's height is fake, and his health is weak too. Now it's over. That dead turtle really has some skills. Can we still report this livestream for promoting feudal superstitions? It's not possible anymore. The Xian sect is now a legitimate organization that operates openly, and Master Xianqing is certified." Old Wang, who had been exposed by Jiang Qianxia for lying about his height of 1.8 meters, was very annoyed but also realized that Jiang Qianxia indeed had some skills. The fact that she could even guess his height made him feel a surge of anticipation. Could it be that his wife might really be found ahead of time? Thinking about what Jiang Qianxia mentioned regarding the reduced effectiveness, his eyes shifted. "How about this? I'll show you one, then describe 2. Would the effect be better than just showing one?" Jiang Qianxia sighed, first blocking the screen full of dead turtle messages, then calmly replied, "Yes." However, old Wang, standing at 1.8 meters, hesitated for a moment. After a long period of deliberation, he finally pointed the camera. In the frame was a somewhat old yet not entirely new residential building in the old town. The shadow of the building flashed across the lens, and old Wang, standing at 1.8 meters, quickly pulled the camera back, feeling a surge of nervousness. The live chat exploded instantly. So fast, even ghosts can't see clearly. This guy looks really guilty. Old Wang, standing at 1.8 meters tall, noticed the mocking comments in the chat. A trace of panic flashed in his eyes, but he quickly pulled himself together and looked smugly at the camera. What's wrong? Didn't you say I'm a master? Ordinary people can't see clearly, and you can't either? If you can't do it, then I'm out. He extended his finger, making a gesture to turn off the video. Unexpectedly, Jiang Qianxia said calmly, that's enough. Just a glance to observe the energy is sufficient. I've already seen it. You can describe the other 2 buildings now. Originally planning to back off, Lao Wang, who stood at 1.8 meters tall, now found himself reluctant to part with his future wife. He began using simple words to describe the other 2 buildings. Jiang Qianxia, citing the reason of not being able to see them in person, pressed for more details. Gradually, impatience appeared on Lao Wang's 1.8 meter tall face. Can you even manage this or not? Jiang Qianxia stopped asking and said calmly, that's enough, I saw it. Old Wang, who was 1.8 meters tall, showed a trace of excitement. You saw it. Where is she? Jiang Qianxia said faintly, behind you. Old Wang, 1.8 meters tall, was shocked and incredulous. Be behind me? As he spoke, he turned around excitedly, and in the camera, a fleeting glimpse of a police uniform appeared, accompanied by an irritable what the hell. Immediately, the viewer screen showed only blurry, shaky footage. Old Wang, standing at 6 feet tall, frantically clutched his phone and bolted, but he hadn't taken more than 2 steps before being pinned to the ground by the police. His phone flew out of his hand, and the camera pointed toward the azure sky. Off-screen, a stern and righteous voice rang out. Get down. Don't move. The viewers in the live stream were all dumbfounded. What's going on? Police? Is this a joke? I don't understand. 2 minutes later, the phone was picked up by a young male police officer. He glanced at the phone screen, saw the barrage of confused comments, then pointed the phone at his face and saluted. Hello everyone, I am a police officer from the Enshi Huaizhou County Public Security Bureau. On behalf of the Bureau, I would like to express my gratitude to the enthusiastic netizen, Chi Qian Wangba Duo, for your report and clever delay. After speaking, he glanced down at the man pinned to the ground beside him and continued explaining to the audience. This audience member, Mr. Huang, is a suspect we have been pursuing. For updates on the case, please follow our Public Security Bureau's Weibo account. Goodbye, everyone. After speaking, the police hung up the phone. Meanwhile, in the live stream, Jiang Qianxia's expression appeared quite subtle. The original owner had chosen this name to mock her family, so Jiang Qianxia thought about it and decided not to change it. During the live stream, she used a voice changer to hide her gender, but unexpectedly, her real voice was inadvertently revealed by the police during the report. This caused the live stream's comment section to clear her of her previous injustice, only to plunge into another kind of frenzy. Oh my, Ji Qian Wangba Duo lady, you're actually a woman? So it wasn't about finding him a wife. Haha, wow, amazing. You were deliberately stalling for time to wait for the police? I apologize for what I said earlier, Ms. Wangbadu. Jiang Qianxia. On the other side, Shanqing was also a bit surprised. He had assumed that this turtle fellow cultivator was a middle-aged man, but unexpectedly, it turned out to be a woman. After a brief pause, he put away his surprised expression and admitted sincerely, this round, fellow cultivator, you win. However, while the live chat was pleased with Chi Qian Wangba Duo for mending her ways, they still did not acknowledge that her fortune-telling skills were superior to Xuanqing's. Well, although, the streamer must have recognized that person, right? The streamer doesn't show their face, maybe they actually know the criminal. Besides, neither of the streamers figured out where the man's wife was, so let's call it a tie. However, due to Jiang Qianxia's active justice, a divide began to emerge among the audience. But Ms. Wangbadwa's ability to observe energy is something Master Shanqing can't do. I think Ms. Wangbadwa won this round. Exactly. If it weren't for Ms. Wangbadwa's energy observation, finding that unclear building, how would they have caught the suspect? Why doesn't that count as a skill? Shanqing also expressed agreement. Yes, fellow Daoist, your ability to observe qi is truly exceptional. I am ashamed of my own inadequacy. The audience members voiced their opinions one after another, leaving Jiang Qianxia somewhat helpless regarding their evaluation of this young talent in the Shinmen sect. She rubbed her throbbing temples, took a deep breath, and began. First of all, please don't call me Ms. Wangba Duo. Secondly, I made up the part about observing the aura. The first sentence made everyone chuckle, but the second sentence suddenly turned the atmosphere heavy. Jiang Qianxia spread her hands helplessly. Actually, I didn't get a clear look at that building, but the computer can see it clearly. Do you believe in the power of technology? The barrage of comments fell silent instantly. Only Shanqing noticed the key point. He was momentarily stunned, shaken by the power of technology. It was through the comments on the screen that he realized the blurry building could be restored into a clear image using a computer. Then, his heart trembled. How did the other party know that person was a fugitive? He recalled the scene where Jiang Qianxia had previously used a single photo to perform fortune-telling. Could fellow Daoist Qi discern the truth just by looking at someone's face? Shanqing couldn't help but gasp. If this were true, the other party's abilities would definitely surpass those of his sex patriarch. But this was just one instance. He dared not jump to conclusions. Seeing the barrage of comments still questioning Jiang Qianxia, he couldn't help but want to defend her. But Jiang Qianxia stopped him. I really can't prove that I don't know him, but I'm not afraid of doubts. Let's move on to the next one. This time, it was Jiang Qianxia's turn to draw a viewer in Xuanqing's livestream. Unexpectedly, the one chosen was a viewer named Strawberry Mingcha. Seeing the words Ming Ti, Jiang Qianxia's heart tightened. When Strawberry Ming Ti appeared on camera, she fell completely silent. The young girl in front of her bore a slight resemblance to her. As soon as Strawberry Ming Ti appeared, the livestream was instantly flooded with lively compliments in the the comments. She smiled shyly and said, "Thank you, everyone." Jiang Qianxia stared at the woman in the camera, her emotions complicated. Xianqing then asked, "Miss Strawberry Mingcha, may I ask what you would like to have read?" Strawberry Mingcha's eyes flickered slightly, revealing a somewhat affected smile, but under her beautiful features, it was not off-putting. After thinking for a moment, she said, "I didn't expect to be so lucky to get chosen, so I haven't decided what to ask. Why don't you just read something based on my facial features?" As soon as Strawberry Mingcha finished speaking, the live chat was flooded with compliments about her looks and luck, making her appear even more bashful. But at this moment, a cold voice broke the lively atmosphere. "Not really lucky, just one hit out of 82 small accounts." Strawberry Mingcha's expression instantly froze. She cursed inwardly but pretended to be puzzled, looking toward the dark screen. "Sister Turtle, what are you talking about? I don't understand." "Sister Turtle?" Jiang Qianxia's face darkened, her heart burning with anger. This was the first time she had been provoked in her livestream. The other party not only imitated her surgically enhanced face but also cheated using a secondary account and even dared to use such offensive terms. Jiang Qianxia sneered coldly, "It's fine if you don't understand. Apart from this account of yours, all the others have already been banned." As a streamer on the video platform, she had the authority to handle violating accounts. Citing the other party's use of secondary accounts to disrupt the livestream, Jiang Qianxia banned them for 3 days. After hearing this, Strawberry Mingcha's sweet smile instantly vanished. She lowered her head to glance at her phone, panic rising in her heart, unable to maintain her smile. The audience wasn't foolish. Strawberry Mingcha's reaction had already aroused their suspicion. She began to regret going live, but since her face had already been shown, wouldn't leaving now be even more embarrassing? After some thought, Strawberry Mingcha decided not to stubbornly deny it anymore. Instead, she pretended to feel guilty, lowered her head, bit her lip, and tears glimmered in her eyes. "I'm sorry, I really didn't mean to, because she hesitated as she raised her head, her eyes brimming with tears. "I'm a friend of Cha Cha Fang Xinfei. After you did a fortune-telling for her last time, she disappeared." Strawberry Mingcha's words caused an uproar in the live chat. Everyone began to suspect whether Shallow Pool, Many Turtles had ulterior motives in fortune-telling. Seeing the live chat siding with her, Strawberry Mingcha felt smug. It seemed Jiang Jianren's face was indeed useful. She decided to undergo another cosmetic surgery. Although she disliked the owner of this face, it was so useful that making it resemble her even more wouldn't hurt. After all, the other party had no idea what template she was using for the surgery. Seeing the live chat starting to misunderstand Jiang Qianxia, Xianqing hurriedly stepped forward to clarify. "Everyone, rest assured, the user Cha Cha Flying Freely is currently safe. The reason you can't contact her is due to other factors." Strawberry Mingcha secretly cursed this lousy Taoist in her heart, but outwardly she pretended to be relieved. "That's great, as long as Cha Cha is safe. Mainly, we used to be in contact every day, and not hearing from her these past 2 days made me a bit worried." The live chat also expressed understanding. "Ah, yes, if it were my friend, I'd be worried too. But Ms. Wang Badwa is quite pitiful. Ha ha ha, misunderstood again. I'll go first." "Sorry, Ms. Wang Badwa. I'll go too." "Sorry, Ms. Wang Badwa." Jiang Qianxia, stop. First of all, my name is not Wang Badwa. You can call me Ms. Chi Qian. Secondly, let's get to the main topic. Due to Strawberry Mingcha's constant provocation, Jiang Qianxia no longer held back and directly said to Xianqing, "You are not good at reading faces through a medium, but as long as I see this person's face in a video, I can know everything. So, I have 2 proposals. The first is, you look first, and then I supplement. The second is, I look first, and then you check if what I said is correct." Xianqing thought for a moment and decided to choose the second option. He came today to verify Ms. Chi Qian's abilities. If the other party was truly as powerful as she claimed, the supplementary content in the first method would still be beyond his calculation, which would not help his judgment. For this, Jiang Qianxia was well prepared. When she gave the 2 proposals, she never intended for the other party to choose, so she didn't hesitate and began speaking directly. "Actually, Master Xuanqing's previous analysis was correct. I don't possess any orthodox metaphysical skills. My talent lies in reading faces. Through facial features, I can perceive a person's entire life. However, I did post something before that was indeed made up. You don't need to take it seriously, but I can indeed tell if someone has had cosmetic surgery. For example, Miss Strawberry Mingcha here, your eyes are fake, your nose is fake, your mouth is fake, and your chin, apple cheeks, and eye bags are all fake as well. In short, your entire face is fake." As soon as Jiang Qianxia finished speaking, Strawberry Mingcha's face in the video instantly turned red with anger and embarrassment. What nonsense are you spouting? I've looked like this since I was a child. Where have I had plastic surgery?" As she spoke, she unwillingly grabbed an old photo from the side and displayed it in front of the camera. The little girl in the photo was under 10 years old, dark-skinned, skinny, and dressed in shabby clothes. However, her bright eyes and facial features bore some resemblance to the current Strawberry Mingcha. The barrage of comments was immediately swayed by her evidence, with many expressing sympathy. Apart from a small number of viewers who insisted their eyes weren't deceiving them and still believed Strawberry Mingcha had a surgically altered face, most others concluded that Jiang Qianxia lacked skill and was deliberately guiding everyone to attack her appearance. Jiang Qianxia was not flustered. Seeing the other party take out childhood photos of the original owner, she already had irrefutable evidence to counter them. She recalled Xuanqing's previous analysis of the orthodox Xianmen method for determining cosmetic surgery and couldn't help but wonder if Xianqing could discern it. After all, this naive little Taoist often got tricked online. "Master Xianqing, what do you think?" Xianqing pondered for a moment and calmly replied, "I can't tell." Instantly, Strawberry Mingcha and those sympathetic viewers became smug, and the barrage of attacks in the comments grew even more intense. Unexpectedly, Xianqing continued, "But this Miss Strawberry Mingcha's facial features have 2 layers. This is the result of altering her appearance. One layer is already very faint." The barrage instantly froze. So, does that mean she really had plastic surgery? Hiss, so this Strawberry Mingcha really has something going on? Not necessarily. You can really tell with a surgically altered face. No matter how natural it looks, there will always be traces. But it should just be minor adjustments, right? Actually, I think this girl looked better before the plastic surgery. I think so too. Seeing everyone start to discuss how the once dark and skinny girl was actually better looking than she is now, Strawberry Mingcha's expression almost twisted, but under pressure, she had to admit tearfully, yes, I had minor adjustments, but not much. Strawberry Mingcha was about to cry, and the comments flooded in to comfort her. Everyone has a love for beauty. What's wrong with cosmetic surgery? That's right, you're so beautiful. You should be confident. From working hard in the countryside to making it in the city, it's so inspiring. Exactly, don't cry. I also had some minor adjustments done. Host, why not apologize? She came with good intentions for a fortune-telling, not to compete in beauty, and now you've made her cry. The audience's accusations pushed Chi-Chan Wangba duo further into the spotlight. Xianqing was a bit confused and was about to speak when Monkey Brother's voice appeared again. Miss Strawberry Mingcha, I know you want to cry, but don't cry just yet. The barrage of comments, originally expecting her to apologize, collectively fell silent. That's not how you apologize, you. Unbelievable. Forget it. Fortune-telling doesn't count. I'm leaving. Strawberry Mingcha realized that seeking sympathy was useless. Over time, the audience would grow tired of it. So, pretending to be magnanimous, she forced a smile. It's okay. With your comfort, I feel much better. Everyone is right. There's nothing wrong with my pursuit of beauty, and I don't need the streamer to apologize. Let's get back to the main topic. Jiang Qianxia flipped through the original owner's memories, her gaze turning cold. It wasn't because of Strawberry Mingcha, but because of that fake heiress, Jiang Mingcha. She was the only one in the Jiang family who knew about that news. The photo Strawberry Mingcha took out was exactly the one from that news. Jiang Qianxia deliberately asked, then I'll continue calculating. You're 28 years old this year. In the video, Strawberry Mingcha's smile froze. Thinking about being exposed, she felt conflicted inside but reluctantly nodded. Yes. The bullet comments exploded instantly. What? Your sister is 28 years old? How is that possible? Wow. I thought she was around 20, but looking closely, she really does take good care of herself. Seeing the viewers in the chat start calling her sister, Strawberry Mingcha couldn't help but explain. Due to some special reasons, my age is listed as 28 on the household registration, but my actual age is a bit younger. This statement reminded the audience of the early years of the overbirth policy, and then of the rural preference for boys over girls, making them feel even more sympathy for this resilient girl. Seeing that Jiang Qianxia did not expose her, Strawberry Mingcha breathed a sigh of relief, secretly thinking that shallow waters breed many turtles, just half a bucket of water. Perhaps that half bucket of water was fake, and she had no idea how it was guessed. The more she thought about it, the more confident she felt, and Strawberry Mingcha relaxed. Jiang Qianxia continued to ask, you are from the north and had not been to the south before the age of 18. Strawberry Mingcha didn't shy away, calmly admitted it, and skillfully played the pity card. Yes, I was poor when I was young and didn't have the chance to travel far. The comments went as she wished, continuing to praise her. Jiang Qianxia responded with an oh, then asked, when you were 7 years old and 17 years ago, two major events happened in your life respectively. Do you still remember them? Strawberry Mingcha froze for a moment, secretly wondering if the other party was trying to trick her, but the tone made her a bit nervous. Thinking that the other party had only noticed her plastic surgery and not much else, she rolled her eyes and said, of course, but I can't be the one to say it myself. She saw the barrage of comments supporting her, which boosted her confidence, and continued, I once heard that those fake fortune tellers under the bridge often use half-guessing and half-guiding to make their clients reveal their own stories. As a result, the clients don't realize it and think they've been accurately read, but in reality, they've just been led into a trap. After Strawberry Mingcha finished speaking, she noticed some comments questioning whether Chi-Chan Wangba duo was doing the same thing. Feeling secretly pleased, she pretended to defend him and said, don't say that. I believe Sister Turtle isn't that kind of person, so to prove Sister Turtle's innocence, I won't say anything. Ha ha ha, Sister Turtle, don't be too polite, laughing till I cry. Come on, you're 28 and still calling people sister all the time. It's a bit too cutesy, isn't it? Besides, everyone knows turtle is an insult, and now it's Sister Turtle. Exactly. I've been wanting to say this for a while. This tea talks so weirdly. It's not like we're in the palace, always sister this and sister that. Ugh. Seeing herself being criticized by the live comments, Strawberry Mingcha quickly corrected herself. Ah, sorry, I thought calling you sister would be more polite. After all, Ms. Chi-Chan is so amazing. She must be a very experienced master. I'm sorry, that was my mistake. Jiang Qianxia looked at the photo of the original owner's childhood and no longer cared about the form of address. She only wanted to confirm the relationship between this person and Jiang Mingcha. A flash of coldness appeared in her eyes. A chance encounter. The title doesn't matter. Since you want to hear it, I'll say it. When you were 7 years old and 17 years ago, you went to the south once each. Have you forgotten? Jiang Qianxia's words made Strawberry Mingcha pause for a moment, then burst into laughter, feeling a weight lifted from her heart. What master? Absolutely ridiculous. She thought to herself, is she really starting to make things up? However, Strawberry Mingcha did not immediately expose Jiang Qianxia but instead asked half-jokingly, so, Master Chi-Chan, what do you say I've been up to? Seeing her smug expression, Jiang Qianxia knew she thought he was making things up and couldn't help but laugh. It seemed she truly had no idea about the origin of that photo. One time, you secretly rushed to the south and became the youngest informant for the police, helping to catch a human trafficking gang. As soon as Jiang Qianxia said this, the live chat fell silent, and Strawberry Mingcha was stunned. In another live stream room, Xianqing looked puzzled at the pitch black. Half of the other stream, Da was Chi-Chan, what's going on here? He could tell that Strawberry Mingcha had never left her hometown before turning 18. When the bullet comments started discussing the absurdity, Strawberry Mingcha let out a chuckle, completely relieved in her heart. She was a fan of Jiang Mingcha, and ever since Chi-Chan duo began whitewashing Jiang Jianren, their fan club had started targeting her. Originally, she had entered the livestream with the mindset of exposing a fraud, but she was repeatedly shocked by the bizarre antics of this fake mystic, to the point where she actually thought the person might have some real skills. In the end, this person said something so outrageous, turns out she really is a fraud, bad. Recalling her earlier fright, Strawberry Mingcha couldn't help but feel speechless, even a little angry. She mocked, Master Chi Qian, do you want to say that again and listen to yourself to see if it makes sense? Unexpectedly, the other party actually replied, it doesn't make sense. Then, can you explain why, at the age of 18, having never left the north, you appeared in a southern county's rural anti-trafficking newspaper 17 years ago? Oh, by the way, the newspaper mentioned that the police informant was 7 years old. Can you explain that, Miss Strawberry Mingcha? Strawberry Mingcha's heart tightened, sensing that the other party was targeting the childhood photo in her hand. This photo was given to her by Mei-Cha. Mei-Cha, T, and Cha-Cha Fong Xi and Fei were all die-hard fans of Jiang Ming-Cha. Together, they joined the fan support club with a united front. Mei-Cha, being in the industry and busy with work, relied on T and Cha-Cha Fong Xi and Fei for most of the support activities. However, Mei-Cha used her position to gain access to a lot of insider information. Over the years, the sisterhood of the Golden Triangle remained unbreakable, always overcoming obstacles and achieving victories on the path of supporting Jiang Ming-Cha. This time, upon hearing about a fake fortune teller smearing Jiang Jianren on a live streaming platform, the three sisters volunteered to expose the true face of this fraud. Her original plan was to use her current face to have the fake fortune teller read her fortune. If the fortune teller claimed she had undergone plastic surgery, she would counter with childhood photos. If the fortune teller failed to detect any surgery, she would admit to it herself. Either way, this fake fortune teller was destined to be nailed to the pillar of shame. But the situation gradually turned around. This photo was given to her by Mimi-Cha, who also revealed a secret when handing it over. Ming-Cha is not Jiang Mingxi's biological sister but was adopted by the Jiang family. She liked Ming-Cha because of her gentleness and kindness, not because of her brother or family. She knew that although her family treated Ming-Cha like their own daughter, if the childhood photo were exposed, Ming-Cha would undoubtedly feel upset. Moreover, Ming-Cha was very outstanding, and there were plenty of people jealous of her. To prevent anyone from using the childhood photo to attack Ming-Cha's background in the future, she discussed with Mei-Cha and decided to choose someone to bear Ming-Cha's past and pretend the photo was theirs. It just so happened that she had recently undergone plastic surgery, so she volunteered to take the place of the person in the photo. Since this matter involved the secret of Ming-Cha's background, she and Mei-Cha agreed not to inform even Cha-Cha feels free. Moreover, even the photo negatives were sent to her by Mei-Cha, so no one else could possibly have this photo. So, with a shallow pond full of turtles, they must be trying to trick her. Thinking of this, Strawberry Ming-Cha steadied her mind and said coldly, sorry, I really don't understand what you're talking about. Before she finished speaking, her voice abruptly stopped because a photo suddenly popped up on the half-black screen of Shallow Pool, Many Turtles. It was a photo of a newspaper with the headline prominently reading, Southern Daily, XX County, XX Township, XX District, XX City, XX Province. 7-year-old girl assists police in taking down a human trafficking gang. The accompanying image was the same photo that Strawberry Ming-Cha had previously displayed. The date on the newspaper was exactly 14 years ago. The moment she saw the newspaper clearly, a loud roar echoed in Strawberry Ming-Cha's mind. How is this possible? After seeing the newspaper, the audience began to accuse her, saying she was lying. Even the sympathy she had previously garnered instantly turned into sharp blades, stabbing mercilessly back into her heart. Seeing the barrage of comments becoming increasingly malicious, Strawberry Ming-Cha was still thinking about protecting Jiang Ming-Cha. She hurriedly grabbed her phone and ran to another room, searching for a moment before taking a photo of a film negative to show everyone. This photo really is mine, and I even have the original negative from back then. The appearance of the old-fashioned film negative indeed carried some credibility. After all, even if she wanted to deceive people, Strawberry Ming-Cha couldn't have anticipated the need to prepare a fake negative as evidence in advance. The audience was also dumbfounded. Someone started looking up that newspaper and actually found out it was real. Seeing in the comments that someone had verified the newspaper was real, Strawberry Ming-Cha instantly pretended to recall something, as if she had remembered. I just remembered something. My mom once told me that she met an uncle who claimed to be a reporter. He exchanged one of my photos for a workbook. Maybe it was this photo. That was back in middle school. A coincidence was thus pieced together by Strawberry Ming-Cha. But if both sides are true, then it can only be a coincidence. So, it was actually a photo of Ming-Cha Chitsao at 7 years old, swapped by the reporter, and used for a report 7 years later? Sigh, that's also possible. Back then, the internet wasn't developed, and it was indeed hard to verify fake news made by unscrupulous reporters. At this moment, the comments began leaning toward the belief that the reporter back then used a fake photo to create fake news. Jiang Qianxia couldn't help but laugh. She realized that Strawberry Ming-Cha was also a PR genius with an extraordinary ability to guide public opinion. Seeing her still trying to argue, Jiang Qianxia threw out a few more photos of the negatives. Before Strawberry Ming-Cha could react, someone in the audience suddenly noticed, these negatives seem a bit off. Is there anyone who studies film who can analyze this? This looks like the film used for shooting movies in recent years. Yeah, the color seems off. I thought it was due to aging over time. Even if it's film from 20 years ago, based on what Strawberry Ming-Cha said about her poor family background and being from the countryside, how could she have preserved a piece of film so perfectly? It's just too unreasonable. In an instant, the comment section was flooded with professionals, and their analysis completely debunked Strawberry Ming-Cha's evidence. Strawberry Ming-Cha was instantly stunned. Even she began to believe the comments in the barrage. Following the advice of professionals, she personally compared the differences between the film in her hand and regular camera film, and without exception, they all matched. Her face turned pale, the negatives and photos fell to the ground simultaneously, and her mind was in turmoil. Her negatives were fake, but what about the photos? Were they really Ming-Cha's? Is Mimi T lying to her? Or has Mimi T also been deceived? But didn't Mimi T say she had seen Ming T? How could she be deceived? Could it be that Mimi T is lying to her? Strawberry Ming T was utterly perplexed, standing there speechless. Jiang Qianxia, however, wouldn't let her off the hook, casually saying, the photo isn't yours, nor is it of the person you think it is. From the day you had plastic surgery, you've been deceived by the person you trust the most, walking down a path of no return that only gets deeper and deeper. Impossible. Strawberry Mingcha instinctively retorted amidst the chaos. But Jiang Qianxia continued, your ideals and pursuits became illusions 3 years ago. Your family seems perfect but is actually broken. Only you know the truth. And besides, you're not even from the countryside. As Jiang Qianxia spoke, Strawberry Mingcha gradually calmed down, cold sweat pouring as her gaze locked onto the half-darkened livestream room. She was completely awake now. Turns out this person really had some skills and had been deliberately targeting her photo all along. Taking a deep breath, a trace of panic flashed in her eyes as she considered hanging up the video call immediately to prevent the other person from uncovering the hidden pain in her heart. However, the other person's tone suddenly shifted. I can see that you can't honestly face yourself. I won't bring up overly private matters anymore, but I'll give you 2 pieces of advice. First, don't blindly idolize. Second, be careful of your boyfriend. He has a wife. Your boyfriend not only has a wife but also has children. They're about to have their second child. You're lying. Strawberry Mingcha's first reaction was to refute, feeling a wave of panic in her heart. She had just acknowledged Ji Qian's fortune-telling abilities, so how could she suddenly be shaken by such news and become suspicious? Admiration, the only person she admired was Mingcha, but hearing that her boyfriend had a wife, this was simply a joke. However, Ji Qian's previous predictions about her career and family were so accurate that they left her with a vague unease. She desperately tried to convince herself, impossible, impossible. Yet uncontrollably, images of her boyfriend's strange behavior surfaced in her mind, always avoiding her when answering calls and frequently being unreachable when they were supposed to meet. The more she thought about the details, the paler Strawberry Mingcha's face became, yet she dared not confront the truth directly, only wanting to find evidence to refute it in her heart. Finally, her eyes lit up as if she had thought of something, and she pointed at the screen as if she had suddenly realized something. You're lying. You're a fan of Jiang Qianxia, aren't you? I admit you have some skills, but you also have selfish motives, using fortune-telling as an excuse to smear Mingcha. I won't believe you, and I won't ask you for fortune-telling anymore. After speaking, Strawberry Mingcha shook her head and hurriedly ended the video call, but her reaction revealed the turmoil in her heart, and everyone noticed it. This reaction doesn't seem like someone unaware of being the third party. Looks like she's still pretending to be clueless. The world is really going downhill. Young women nowadays are so calculating. She knew from the start that the man had a wife and just pretended not to know. Those who are truly calculating would have already found a way to climb up. This Strawberry Mingcha at most just has a bit of a love-struck mindset. Seeing the comments starting to say some unpleasant things, Jiang Qianxia frowned and couldn't help but speak up. I hope everyone can be more considerate. This Strawberry Mingcha actually doesn't know that her boyfriend has a wife. In another livestream, Shanqing also chimed in, Daoist Ji Qian is right. Judging from Strawberry Mingcha's facial features, she seems to be naive both in character and in her approach to love, making her prone to being deceived by those close to her. Speaking, Shanqing sincerely looked at the camera. To this viewer, if you are still watching, I hope you can face your inner self. Only by seeing clearly and recognizing it can you walk out of your predicament. Jiang Qianxia and Shanqing's words calmed down those viewers in the barrage who thought Strawberry Mingcha was deliberately playing dumb as a mistress. Although the comments about her being love-obsessed weren't very pleasant, at least no one was criticizing her character. In front of the screen, Strawberry Mingcha covered her eyes, sobbing uncontrollably. After a few minutes, she gradually calmed down, opened her contacts, and dialed her boyfriend's number. However, no one answered for a long time. A few minutes later, the phone finally rang. The moment it connected, she heard an electronic voice from the other end. Welcome to the second hospital of Jinhe University. Hearing the hospital's name, Strawberry Mingcha's heart tightened sharply, and she asked anxiously, where are you? The background noise on the other end gradually faded, but her boyfriend didn't answer her directly. Instead, he asked with concern, baby, what's wrong? Have you been crying? The gentler the man's voice, the more Strawberry Mingcha's heart shattered. She couldn't accept that the boyfriend who had cared for her so tenderly was hiding another side of himself. However, even without this live broadcast exposing him, she had already harbored doubts but didn't dare to voice them. All she could do was clutch her phone and cry her heart out. Hearing her sobs, the man on the other end immediately grew anxious. Baby, what's wrong? Where are you? Are you at home? Be good and wait for me. I'll come home right away. Before he finished speaking, someone suddenly called his name on his end, and his tone instantly turned businesslike. He mumbled, all right, and then said to the person on the phone, let's leave it at that for now. Don't rush. I have something to take care of here. I'll call you once I'm done. After speaking, the other side hung up. Strawberry Mingcha held the beeping phone and cried for a while. Taking a deep breath, she changed her clothes, went downstairs, hailed a cab, and prepared to go to Jinhe Second Hospital. After hearing the destination, the driver glanced at Strawberry Mingcha's flat stomach. Seeing her distraught appearance, he couldn't help but ask with concern, young lady, did something upsetting happen to you? The driver glanced at her stomach again as he spoke and said earnestly, during this special time, it's better to stay calm. It's not good for the baby. Strawberry Mingcha, with red and swollen eyes, looked up upon hearing this. When she noticed the other person's gaze, she became both embarrassed and angry. What nonsense are you spouting? You're the one who's pregnant. The driver, after hearing her words, actually let out a sigh of relief and quickly apologized. I'm really sorry. Seeing you with red eyes heading to the obstetrics and gynecology hospital, I thought you were going for an abortion and wanted to persuade you. I didn't expect that wasn't the case. That's such a relief. I'm truly sorry. What? Strawberry Mingcha was stunned. Did you say Jinhe Second Hospital is an obstetrics and gynecology hospital? The driver looked at her strangely. You didn't know? Then why are you going there? That place is specifically for pregnancy care and childbirth. In an instant, Strawberry Mingcha's face turned as pale as paper. The driver was startled upon seeing this. Miss, you drive. Strawberry Mingcha had completely lost her senses, but her resolve to see it for herself grew even stronger. Meanwhile, the fortune-telling livestream continued. In the second round, although Jiang Qianxia did not delve into Strawberry Mingcha's private life, she exposed the facts about Strawberry Mingcha's plastic surgery and use of fake photos. She also accurately predicted her career and family issues, as well as her boyfriend's infidelity and being deceived, a total of 6 revelations, leaving the audience in shock. Xianqing, on the other hand, candidly admitted that he only discerned Strawberry Mingcha's plastic surgery, family issues, and the last 2 matters. Thus, in the second round, Jiang Qianxia won. Next, the third audience member took the stage. As soon as the video connected, 2 girls appeared on the screen, both looking somewhat displeased. Seeing 2 people on camera, Xianqing couldn't help but ask, "May I ask, which one of you is the account orange 8 pounds?" One of the girls, holding an extremely chubby orange cat, raised her hand. "That's me." Since Jiang Qianxia didn't speak much, Xianqing naturally took on the role of host. "What would you like to calculate?" The girl who raised her hand paused for half a second. "I want to calculate where my cat went." As soon as she finished speaking, the girl next to her immediately looked displeased and couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Xianqing saw this and couldn't help but ask, "What is the relationship between you two?" The girl who raised her hand felt a bit guilty and awkwardly replied, "We're best friends." The cold-faced girl added discontentedly, "A best friend on the verge of breaking up." Instantly, the comments were filled with curiosity. It's rare to see best friends on the verge of breaking up still sitting together for a live video stream. Probably a conflict caused by the cat. The cause of the matter was indeed related to the cat. Xiao Wan, the owner of Orange 8 pounds, was somewhat upset because of a few words from her best friend. She glanced disdainfully at Yu before slowly speaking, "Here's what happened. I went on a business trip last week and originally planned to leave the cat at my mom's house, but Yu insisted that I send the cat to her place. Since Yu usually gets along well with Orange 8 pounds, I felt assured and handed the cat over to her. After giving her some instructions, I left with peace of mind. At first, every evening, Yu would video call me with Orange 8 pounds. Whenever I called out to Orange 8 pounds, it would rush over to the phone to look for me. But just 2 days before I returned, Yu suddenly said the camera was broken and didn't turn it on that day. Yesterday, which was the last day, Yaya fixed the camera and we started a video call again. No matter how I called, Ju Bajin completely ignored me." Xiao Wan glanced at Yaya, whose face was cold, and continued, "I started to suspect that the camera wasn't broken at all the day before yesterday. Did Yaya lose my cat, make up an excuse, and then find a cat that looks exactly the same to fool me yesterday?" As Xiao Wan voiced her doubts, Yaya's already cold expression grew even darker, anger burning inside her. "Why would I lie to you? My camera really was broken. Look, I have the repair record here." Yaya pulled out her phone's chat history and showed it to Xiao Wan and the audience. After looking at the evidence, Xiao Wan fell silent for a moment, but she still stuck to her opinion. "So, did you fail to keep an eye on the cat while fixing the camera?" Yaya rolled her eyes and said coldly, "Excuse me, if the one in your arms isn't Ju Bajin, then who is it? How could 2 cats be exactly the same? You've waited, compared the photos, what's different? Do you think I could clone a cat for you?" Xiao Wan lowered her head to look at the docile cat lying on her lap, her expression turning sorrowful. "How could I mistake my own cat? This orange cat does look a lot like Ju Bajin, but I can be sure it's not my Bajin." Her eyes reddened. "Bajin has never left me before. I'm really worried about him." Seeing her holding the cat and crying so earnestly, Yaya's anger was mixed with grievance. "I don't even know what you're trying to do. You insist it's not him, so why don't you show me some proof?" Xiao Wan turned around, took out a red button from the side, placed it in front of her, and looked at Yu with a determined gaze. "Watch, if it's Ju Bajin, it will definitely press it." Yu's face turned even darker, almost laughing in anger. "Xiao Wan, I watch your cat at your house every day. When has Ju Bajin ever pressed this button?" Xiao Wan, with reddened eyes, took a deep breath, found a video on her phone and directly posted it in the livestream. In the video, the chubby orange cat would stretch out its paw every time it saw the red button. At first, it only pressed lightly, but later, under Xiao Wan's guidance, it gradually learned to press the button. Eventually, every time it saw the red button, Ju Bajin would go and press it. The orange cat in front of her, no matter if the button was placed right in front of it or if its favorite snacks were brought out, remained completely indifferent. When Xiao Wan thought of snacks, something else came to her mind. She took out 2 snacks, A and B, and placed them in front of the orange cat. After the orange cat chose B, she took a deep breath and looked at Yaya. "You know Orange Bajin's taste preferences, right?" Seeing this, Yaya's face gradually revealed confusion. For Orange Bajin to grow this fat, it was not without reason. It loved to eat, but it had a particular trait. It was especially fond of snack A. As long as it was present, it wouldn't even glance at anything else. The audience was also baffled. This orange cat was so fat, and it looked exactly the same as the photos and videos Xiao Wan had shown. At first, they indeed thought Xiao Wan was just trying to stir up trouble. A clickable video, combined with a snack choice even Lian Yaya approves of. Is that so strange? Is the cat really not Orange 8 Gene? The 2 best friends argued for a long time, one eager to find the cat, the other wanting to prove her innocence. They exchanged a glance, both suppressing their anger. Xiao Wan finally couldn't help but change her tone. "I hope the streamer can help me calculate first whether Yaya swapped my cat." At first, she just wanted to find the cat, but now she directly suspects Yaya. Feeling dissatisfied, Yaya couldn't help but blurt out, "Why would I switch your cat? I could even say your video is fake. Did you secretly change the snack packaging? I'll also figure out if you're lying." Xiao Wan actually regretted her words after changing her tone. The reason they argued for so long was that she didn't truly believe Yaya would switch the cat. What she really suspected was that Yaya might have mixed up Ju Bajin with another family's cat when taking him out. But Yaya kept denying it, and in a moment of impulse, she said it out loud. Not only did Yaya refuse to admit her mistake, but she also turned around and accused Xiao Wan of switching the packaging bag. Just as the 2 were about to argue again, Xianqing finally couldn't help but interject. "I have a way to determine if this cat is Ju Bajin." Hearing this, the 2 simultaneously breathed a sigh of relief, exchanged a tacit glance, and quickly looked away, no longer staring at each other. Xianqing then asked Jiang Qianxia, Daoist Ji Qian, can you do it? Jiang Qianxia replied, I can't, but I can tell if they're lying. Xianqing nodded, then let's stick to the old rules. Jiang Qianxia responded, okay. Then, the two of them shouted the answer at the same time. 3, 2, 1, neither of them. Their unanimous answer left the audience, Xiao Wan, and Yu stunned. They looked at each other in disbelief. What on earth was going on? Xianqing saw this and stopped keeping them in suspense. My sect has a method for finding things, which might prove whether this cat is Zhu Bajin or not. Xiao Wan followed Xianqing's instructions, took out a toy belonging to Zhu Bajin, and placed it in the corner of the room. Then, using a strand of fur from the orange cat in her arms, she threw it down as directed by Xianqing. The orange fur gently landed on the ground, falling in the opposite direction of the toy. This meant that the toy did not belong to this cat but to Zhu Bajin. In other words, it was not Zhu Bajin. Yu, feeling a bit unconvinced, asked Xianqing if it could work with her belongings. She took out a lipstick, placed it in the same position, and then pulled out a strand of her hair to hand to Xiao Wan. Xiao Wan repeated the process. The hair landed not only between Yu and the lipstick but also in exactly the same direction. Instantly, not just Xiao Wan and Yu, but even the audience was stunned. Is it really that amazing? Xianqing saw their astonishment and explained, this is a small object-finding spell, only useful for locating things in a room. It's not very difficult, and the audience watching can also learn it. As he spoke, noticing the barrage of comments clamoring to learn, he began teaching them. Is this just a small trick? Jiang Qianxia raised her eyebrows slightly, becoming even more curious about the sect behind Xianqing. She cleared her throat and finally spoke. This isn't Zhu Bajin, but it should be Zhu Bajin's younger brother. In fact, Jiang Qianxia only realized it after seeing this cat. She could not only see a person's familial relationships through their facial features but also those of animals. Her words left everyone stunned. On the other side of the video, the two best friends who had been cleared by the streamer exchanged bewildered glances. However, since the conflict had not yet been resolved, they awkwardly averted their gazes. Daoist Ji Qian, you can read the facial features of animals? Xianqing asked in surprise. Jiang Qianxia nodded, yes. Xianqing's eyes instantly lit up, a surge of excitement welling up in his heart, but he quickly suppressed his emotions and quietly left the scene to Jiang Qianxia. Zhu Bajin was given to you by the mother cat, right? Jiang Qianxia turned to Xiao Wan, her eyes sparkling. Xiao Wan was incredulous. How did you know that? Mother cat was homeless, which means mother cat was originally a stray cat. Jiang Qianxia's voice was firm and powerful. Excitement was written all over Xiao Wan's face. Yes, a stray cat. Before she could finish, Jiang Qianxia continued, that winter, most of the kitten's mother cat gave birth to froze to death, leaving only 2 alive. She found a kind-hearted person who had once fed her and gave one of the kittens to them. Xiao Wan's eyes instantly lit up. Unfortunately, the second kitten wasn't given away by the mother cat. The remaining kitten had to grow up as a stray and eventually became a stray cat. Jiang Qianxia's tone was somber. Xiao Wan froze and recalled, I once thought about looking for the mother cat to see if there were any other kittens, but the mother cat was very wary. After leaving me Zhu Bajin, she disappeared. It was cold, and Zhu Bajin cried loudly, so I hurriedly brought it home. Later, when I went to look for the mother cat, it was gone. It moved away with the kitten it didn't give away. Jiang Qianxia's voice was like lightning, striking Xiao Wan's heart. Xiao Wan was filled with emotion but quickly reacted. Wait, are you saying the cat in my arms is a stray cat? That's right. Jiang Qianxia nodded firmly. Xiao Wan lowered her head to sniff the cat in her arms and said doubtfully, but if it's a stray cat, how could it be so clean? It even smells like shampoo. She looked at Yu, her eyes full of anticipation. Yu understood her meaning and immediately said, the morning the camera broke, didn't Zhu Bajin spill my soy sauce all over herself? You asked me to take her for a bath? Xiao Wan asked anxiously, did you lose sight of Zhu Bajin when you sent him for a bath? Yu thought about it and looked a bit guilty. Almost not, but I was chatting with you at the time, and in the blink of an eye, it was switched, unless the staff did it intentionally. At this point, the two immediately called the pet shop where Zhu Bajin had his bath that day. After hearing their inquiry, the staff responded very kindly, informing them that there was indeed a charity event for bathing stray cats, and 2 very similar orange cats were bathed that day. The shop assistant also agreed to pull up the surveillance footage from that day. When the surveillance footage was played, everyone was stunned. The cat had indeed been swapped, but it wasn't done maliciously by someone. It was the cat itself that made the switch. Yaya walked into the grooming shop with the cat carrier. While she was talking to the shop assistant, the 2 chubby orange cats silently stared at each other through the carrier. The one outside started pawing at the zipper of the carrier. Once the zipper was halfway open, Zhu Bajin squeezed out and quickly hid under a chair. When Yu lowered her head, she found that another cat had appeared at her feet. She didn't recognize it at all, picked up the cat, and followed the staff inside. At that moment, another staff member came out, saw the cat guarding the carrier on the chair, and carried it to another room. When Yu came out with the freshly washed cat, the mistakenly picked up orange cat obediently crawled into the carrier, curiously observing the outside world through the spaceship-like window. The cat's skillfulness made it completely unnoticeable. Not long after, the freshly washed orange 8 Jean was also brought out. As it walked out the door, it saw nothing and appeared somewhat confused. Suddenly, it stood up excitedly and dashed outside the door. The clerk, upon seeing this scene, pulled up the surveillance footage at the entrance. It turned out that Zhu Bajin had spotted a female cat carrying meat and immediately dashed toward her. The comment section exploded instantly. Is Zhu Bajin being a bit ungrateful, running off as soon as he sees food? Not necessarily, maybe he saw beauty. Orange 8 Jean hasn't been neutered, right? Sigh, if Orange 8 Jean hadn't run away, the clerk might have realized whether they picked up the wrong one. Xiao Wan bit her lip while staring at the screen, tears unknowingly streaming down her face. Orange 8 Jean was rushing toward the female cat, and the female cat put down the meat, gently licking Orange 8 Jin's forehead. The comments were still saying that Orange 8 Jean couldn't be tamed, but Xiao Wan couldn't help defending it. This female cat seems to be Orange 8 Jin's mother. Orange 8 Jean must have have recognized its mother. Xiao Wan's words left the audience somewhat skeptical. She hurriedly sought help from Jiang Qianxia. Master, can you tell? Jiang Qianxia was deeply moved by the scene and nodded. Yes, this cat is Zhu Bajin's mother, and also the mother of the cat in your arms. So, is the mother cat bringing food to pick it up? Xiao Wan gently shook the orange cat in her arms. At this moment, the store clerk on the other end of the phone interjected. Yes, this mother and son pair of cats is quite famous in the neighborhood next to ours. We just heard about the mix-up, and our staff has already gone to retrieve that cat. Moreover, people nearby said that the mother and son cats have been arguing these past few days, with the mother cat trying to kick out the mama's boy. Xiao Wan and you couldn't help but burst into laughter upon hearing this. In the end, Xiao Wan asked the store clerk to keep the mother cat as well, secretly planning to adopt all 3 cats. The friend Yaya rolled her eyes. So you're not leaving even one for me? Xiao Wan immediately placed the cat in her arms into Yaya's. The 7-pound orange cat is yours. Between the cat mom and us, everyone has to rely on their own skills. The two solemnly thanked Xianqing and Jiang Qianxia, then hurried off to pick up the cats. In the third round, Xianqing believed that finding the 8-pound orange cat was entirely thanks to Jiang Qianxia's efforts and decided to concede. Jiang Qianxia also stated that if it weren't for Xianqing proving that the cat wasn't Zhu Bajin, she wouldn't have guessed the familial relationship. After several rounds of PK, most of the audience gradually came to believe in Jiang Qianxia's abilities and suggested settling for a draw. The first round ended in a draw. In the second round, Jiang Qianxia won. The third round ended in a draw. But Xianqing knew that Jiang Qianxia had actually won the first round as well. Seeing the audience gradually acknowledge Jiang Qianxia's abilities, he decided not to continue the competition and inwardly accepted her strength. He decided to concede and asked Jiang Qianxia if she had any requests for him to fulfill. Seeing Xianqing admit defeat, the audience instantly erupted. Some were dissatisfied, some shouted that it wasn't enough, and there were even people lining up at the back, eagerly expressing their willingness to pay for a fortune-telling session. Jiang Qianxia's eyes sparkled, as if she saw an endless stream of potential customers. She quickly advertised, I will continue live-streaming fortune-telling. In the future, interested friends, please follow me. Of course, if Master Xianqing is interested in collaborating on a live stream, that would be even better. Hearing this, Xianqing smiled warmly and nodded. Alright, I hope we can collaborate again next time. In fact, after witnessing Qi Kai and Wangba's various maneuvers, Xianqing couldn't wait to introduce her to his master. Since the other party took the initiative to propose a collaboration, he certainly wouldn't refuse. Jiang Qianxia saw him being so agreeable, smiled slightly, and then said, it's getting late. Let's discuss contact details privately. Xianqing nodded in agreement. After witnessing all kinds of behavior from Qi Qian Wangba duo, the livestream viewers began to worry. Better to say it during the livestream, otherwise what if she makes some unreasonable demands? That's right, we can be witnesses. Woo woo woo, little Taoist, you must be very careful. I really can't rest easy without watching over you. However, Jiang Qianxia decisively ended the livestream and quickly went offline after speaking. Xianqing saw this, gave a gentle smile, and reassured everyone with a don't worry before going offline as well. After Jiang Qianxia finished her livestream, she immediately sent her WeChat ID to Xianqing. Shortly after, Xianqing added her. Daoist Jiqian, do you have any requests? Jiang Qianxia didn't hesitate and asked directly. Can you teach me how to catch ghosts? Xianqing was taken aback. Daoist Jiqian, have you encountered something? Jiang Qianxia confessed frankly. I saw 2 little ghosts. They must have met my child, which caused some dark energy to linger on my child. Xianqing read the message and was slightly surprised. Daoist Jiqian, you actually have the heavenly eye? Jiang Qianxia smiled. If being able to see ghosts counts as having the heavenly eye, then I suppose I do. Seeing this, Xianqing took a deep breath, his emotions indescribable. Being born able to see fate and possessing the heavenly eye, truly a genius sought after by the mystic sections. Unfortunately, the other party has already grown up, wasting years of talent, but it's not too late yet. Thinking that the other party wanted to learn ghost catching, Xianqing's heart stirred, and he asked in detail about the black aura on the child. After hearing about Situ Xiaoya's situation, Xianqing said, it's not serious, and there's no harm. It doesn't need to be dealt with, but if you're concerned, I can give you a talisman. Jiang Qianxia breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing this. Then thank you very much. However, Xianqing suddenly hesitated. However, what? Jiang Qianxia guessed that he might have concerns about her wanting to learn ghost catching. The original host had almost no contact with the Xian men before, which left Jiang Qianxia with very limited understanding of the Xian men. She thought of the orthodox Xian sect that Xianqing mentioned and couldn't help but frown. She quickly typed, could it be a secret technique of your sect that cannot be easily taught to outsiders? Fortunately, Xianqing said, not exactly. Our sect has a collection of common techniques widely circulated among all current Xian sects, but the secret techniques of my sect are indeed quite powerful. I can give you the collection of common techniques right now, but the secret techniques require initiation to learn. Fellow Daoists' aptitude should meet the standards of our sect. The problem is, neither of them can be mastered quickly. As for those 2 little ghosts, if fellow Daoist needs, I can make a trip. Xianqing's words made Jiang Qianxia's beautiful eyes narrow slightly. She began to suspect whether this little Taoist priest also had designs on her. However, the other party was obviously too naive. She had already seen through his background. His sect was likely one of the top sects in the current metaphysical world. How could their secret techniques be merely relatively powerful? They were probably among the best in the world. It would be strange if Jiang Qianxia wasn't tempted, but when it came to joining a metaphysical sect, she still had some reservations. She thought for a moment and said, just the ordinary one. As for those 2 little ghosts, there's no need. Thank you. Those 2 little ghosts had been following Aunt Lu's family for so many years without harming them, so they probably wouldn't pose a threat to Situ Xiaoya either. Seeing Jiang Qianxia choose the ordinary one, Xianqing was momentarily stunned, secretly wondering if he had been too modest earlier. He couldn't help but subtly mention his sect's secret techniques again. However, Jiang Qianxia said, you mentioned that the sect's secret techniques are only taught to disciples. I haven't considered joining a sect for now. Hearing this, Xianqing felt a bit disappointed but did not insist. Instead, he introduced Jiang Qianxia to the current state of the Xianmen and informed her about obtaining a metaphysics certificate. The original owner had heard of this certificate before, but in the eyes of the general public, a metaphysics certificate was merely an academic proof. Who would have thought it was an official Xianmen certification? Jiang Qianxia was astonished, and Xianqing continued, then I'll send you some basic books on Xianmen techniques as well. Thank you so much. Jiang Qianxia's face lit up with delight. Finally, Xianqing asked for Jiang Qianxia's address, saying he would send the collection of techniques and talisman papers together. After finishing the conversation with Xianqing, it was already mealtime. Jiang Qianxia slowly got up, stretched, and then went downstairs. Because of her instructions, the servants didn't dare to go upstairs and disturb her, but lunch had already been carefully prepared. As soon as they saw her come downstairs, they could serve it immediately. Jiang Qianxia enjoyed her meal comfortably and then fell into a deep sleep, but she was awakened by a call from her agent, Sister Yan. Qianxia, where are you? Sister Yan asked anxiously. Jiang Qianxia answered drowsily, at home. Sister Yan breathed a sigh of relief, then hurry up and get ready. You're coming with me to a place later. Hearing Sister Yan's excited voice, Jiang Qianxia guessed it must be work-related, so she asked, do I need to prepare anything? Sister Yan was too excited, and only lowered her voice after hearing Jiang Qianxia's question. Just dress a bit appropriately. We're going to discuss work. Jiang Qianxia asked about the time again. Sister Yan said, as soon as possible. In other words, it was very urgent. Jiang Qianxia washed her face, feeling much more awake, and then called up 2 maids who could do makeup to help. Sure enough, the speed increased significantly, and she was out the door in half an hour. After meeting with Sister Yan looked at Jiang Qianxia with satisfaction, took a deep breath, and told the driver a location. The driver, upon hearing the location, glanced at Jiang Qianxia with some surprise. He remembered that this place seemed to be the company of Madame's eldest brother from her maternal family, and the relationship between Madame and her maternal family didn't seem very good. Jiang Qianxia noticed the driver staring at her and assumed he was waiting for instructions, so she said, let's go. After hearing this, the driver also assumed that Jiang Qianxia was planning to use work as an opportunity to ease relations with her eldest brother from her maternal family, so he said nothing further. On the way, Sister Yan excitedly chatted with Jiang Qianxia about how to respond if they received certain opportunities. Seeing Sister Yan so engrossed, Jiang Qianxia listened attentively and noted down all the key points she mentioned. However, when they arrived at their destination, Jiang Qianxia froze. Seeing Jiang Qianxia stunned, Sister Yan thought she was pleasantly surprised. However, Jiang Qianxia slowly raised her head, her gaze locking onto the 4 large characters Star Entertainment at the building's entrance. The expression on her face gradually turned peculiar. Although Xingyu Entertainment is not considered a top-tier company in the entertainment industry, it is renowned as a creator of high-quality productions. The most eye-catching achievement is the rising star they single-handedly promoted, Jiang Mingxia. However, Jiang Mingxia's glory days are over, and her attempts to transition have been unsuccessful. Even after starring in several well-crafted scripts, she has failed to make any significant impact. Industry insiders are speculating whether Xingyu Entertainment plans to promote a new talent or hopes for Jiang Mingxia to successfully transition. Because of Jiang Qianxia, Sister Yan has carefully studied Jiang Mingxia. She believes that the reason Xingyu is not pushing Jiang Mingxia to transition is not due to a lack of intent, but rather because Jiang Mingxia is simply incapable of handling other types of roles. Jiang Mingxia's acting skills are mediocre. Her previous works were merely performances true to her own character. But now, Sister Yan was secretly thrilled, her gaze carefully examining Jiang Qianxia, whose features were striking, demeanor extraordinary, sometimes aloof, sometimes languid. Her heart trembled as she confirmed that Jiang Qianxia was fully capable of naturally portraying the lead in the current popular script. In other words, the era of Qianxia has finally arrived. When she received the call from Star Entertainment, Sister Yan couldn't help but feel that this was a golden opportunity for Jiang Qianxia. Seeing Jiang Qianxia frowning at Star Entertainment's logo, Sister Yan tugged her arm, pulled her aside, and whispered, "Are you worried that they might make things difficult for you because of Jiang Mingxia?" Before Jiang Qianxia could respond, Sister Yan glanced around to ensure no one was nearby, then analyzed Jiang Mingxia's current situation and excitedly squeezed her hand. "So, your opportunity has come. Do you know that? The one meeting you is a senior executive from Star Entertainment. They might have noticed your potential. It is precisely because it's a senior executive from Star Entertainment that Sister Yan couldn't help but speculate whether Star Entertainment might want to replace their current actress with someone more suitable. Based on Jiang Mingxia's trajectory, Jiang Qianxia is practically the perfect successor." Seeing Sister Yan so excited, Jiang Qianxia couldn't bear to shatter her illusion. If her guess is correct, Sister Yan is likely to be disappointed. It's probably related to the recent incident involving Jiang Mingxia, which was reported to Jiang family's eldest brother. This meeting is very likely a trap. Sure enough, when Sister Yan brought Jiang Qianxia into Star Entertainment, they were stopped at the front desk. The receptionist politely informed them, "I'm sorry, the president has instructed that Miss Jiang should go up to see him alone." As she spoke, the receptionist pointed to an elevator and said to Jiang Qianxia, "Please wait a moment. This elevator requires an elevator card. I will notify the secretary to come down and escort you." Sister Yan was stunned, staring at the receptionist with a suspicious look. She then took out her phone, preparing to call the person in charge who had arranged the meeting. The receptionist remained calm, smiling as she waited for Sister Yan to make the call, still refusing to allow her to go upstairs with Jiang Qianxia. After the call, Sister Yan's expression darkened. She took a deep breath and looked at Jiang Qianxia with an apologetic gaze. Jiang Qianxia was beautiful, with a figure and face that were were top tier in the entertainment industry, yet she had never really had any opportunities. Of course, there was also her stubborn personality and the fact that she was at odds with Jiang Mingxia. However, at this moment, Sister Yan felt that Jiang Qianxia in front of her seemed to have undergone a transformation. Although there was no apparent change, there was an added radiance that was captivating. Even as a woman, she couldn't help but marvel at Jiang Qianxia's beauty, let alone the fact that the entertainment industry is full of men with a penchant for lust. She had never seen a company discuss work without allowing the agent to meet, unless it was poaching. But if it were poaching, they wouldn't call her in the first place, they would directly approach the artist. She had previously helped Jiang Qianxia fend off quite a few unspoken rules, and now it was the same. Moreover, from Jiang Qianxia's car, she could tell that the other party was not short of money and had no need to take that path. After much deliberation, Sister Yan felt that letting Jiang Qianxia meet an unknown higher-up was too dangerous. She then took Jiang Qianxia's hand and said apologetically, "Qianxia, I'm sorry, I didn't ask clearly. Let's go back." Jiang Qianxia, however, shook her head. She understood why her elder brother from the Jiang family would lower himself to give her a warning. In the original owner's memory, the Jiang family had one characteristic: stubbornness. If she didn't meet today, the future harassment from Jiang's eldest brother would only increase. Since she was already here, she might as well go up and see if she could solve the problem once and for all. She broke free from Sister Yan's hand, gently patted the back of her hand, and while Sister Yan was momentarily stunned, leaned close to her ear and whispered, "Don't worry, it's not what you think. Let my driver take you back first." After giving Sister Yan a reassuring look, Jiang Qianxia turned and walked toward the secretary who had come to pick her up. When she and the secretary entered the CEO's elevator, accessible only with an elevator card, Sister Yan took a deep breath, but her unease grew heavier. Could it be that the person meeting Qianxia is the CEO of Star Entertainment? The CEO is extraordinarily mysterious, with a deep background, never appearing in public, and even the media dare not expose his photos. However, rumors say Jiang Mingxia is the CEO's lover at Star Entertainment. Otherwise, why would she abandon her own brother's company and instead join another company which happens to promote her so heavily? Thinking about the conflict between Jiang Qianxia and Jiang Mingxia and recalling the reassuring look Jiang Qianxia had just given her, Sister Yan's emotions became even more complicated. On the other side, Jiang Qianxia followed the secretary upstairs and was led into an empty office. She glanced around and immediately asked, "Where is he?" The secretary froze for a moment, clearly puzzled by Jiang Qianxia's identity. She only knew the president had instructed her to pick someone up, but she had no idea who this person was. Initially assuming she was just a minor celebrity, the tone of Jiang Qianxia's voice made her start to hesitate. She showed slight respect and poured Jiang Qianxia a glass of water. "The president is still in a meeting and asked me to bring you here to wait for a moment." However, upon hearing this, Jiang Qianxia's face darkened, and she coldly asked, "Did he say when the meeting would end?" The secretary felt displeased. Having worked with Jiang Minghui for many years, she was highly regarded. Even Jiang Minghui's own younger sister, Miss Mingxia, would politely call her secretary's sister. Now, a little-known celebrity dared to show her attitude. The secretary was secretly angry and said expressionlessly, "Sorry, no comment." Jiang Qianxia, seeing the secretary's arrogant attitude, felt even more dissatisfied with Jiang Minghui. No wonder the original owner wanted to leave these so-called family members. Even the secretary beside her elder brother knew nothing about her. She couldn't be bothered to ask further. Her gaze casually swept across the room and was instantly drawn to a familiar object on the treasure cabinet. Jiang Qianxia frowned slightly, got up, walked over, and reached out to pick up the handmade clay doll placed alongside the valuable antiques. The secretary, seeing this, exclaimed in an attempt to stop her, but Jiang Qianxia was startled. Her hand slipped, and the clay doll fell to the ground with a crash, shattering instantly. Looking at the clay doll broken by Jiang Qianxia, the secretary's expression changed, took a deep breath, and raised her voice by 8 degrees. "Miss Jiang, how can you touch other people's things so carelessly?" Jiang Qianxia froze. The words of apology she had intended to say were swallowed back into her throat. At that moment, the office door was suddenly pushed open. The secretary and Jiang Qianxia instinctively turned their heads. A tall, cold, and handsome man walked in. It was the eldest son of the Jiang family, Jiang Minghui, the president of Xingyue. Seeing the confrontation between the secretary and Jiang Qianxia, Jiang Minghui's brows furrowed slightly. His gaze fell on Jiang Qianxia as he asked, "What's going on?" The secretary took a deep breath, stepped aside, and revealed the shattered clay doll on the ground. Her tone was respectful but carried a hint of accusation. "President Jiang, I apologize. It was my fault. This young lady touched the items on the treasure shelf without permission. I failed to stop her, and as a result, she broke the clay doll Miss Mingxia gave you." On the surface, the secretary admitted fault, but in reality, she was complaining. A trace of coldness flashed in Jiang Minghui's eyes as his gaze locked onto the culprit. He spoke, "Jiang Qianxia, explain why you broke Mingxia's clay doll." His voice was as frosty as ice. However, Jiang Qianxia's reaction was beyond his expectations.